everybody. Welcome. Well, let's do this 15. Welcome everybody to the stream. This is Skills Reacts, and we're gonna be looking into Candace Owens' new perspective and what their team has found on this investigation of Charlie Kirk's case, you would say. We're gonna watch it, see what she says, see how she breaks down the new information that she has, and we're gonna speak on our thoughts and think about our situation and what we really have over here. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you guys drop a like, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new, this is our brand new YouTube channel called Skills Reacts. So let's jump into it. All right, so this is Candace Owens' channel right here. Shout out to Candace Owens. I really respect what she's doing out there, and let's jump into it.
Help focus some of these investigations that are going on. So many people that are sending us emails, and I see a lot of the chatter that's happening. First and foremost, no, Charlie was not wearing an earpiece. He was not wearing an earpiece.
Yeah,
I saw some of that earlier footage and it looked like he was. And I was able to verify that actually what people think is an earpiece that's coming up is actually...
Yeah, people are saying he had an earpiece and he had a vest and this and that. You could literally see his nipple through his t-shirt. Like, he didn't have a vest on. You know what I mean? After we get past all the random bull crap that we get out of the internet, then we can move on to the truth, you know?
The necklace that he was wearing. I also want you guys to know that he was not wearing a bulletproof vest. I was able to verify that, and there does seem to be a backstory there. Somebody that had reached out who had been providing vests for Charlie and then no longer was providing vests for him. We're looking into that, but I wanted you to know those two facts. All right, now jumping into what I wanted to discuss today. We thought we should go back and re-examine all of the witnesses, okay? The people who spoke out to the press in the immediate aftermath of the killing. Obviously, that's what brought us to Caldera Engineering, the man who owned a couple of houses on that block. And we found out that Caldera Engineering, a lot of the employees live on that block. And then, of course, I want to be clear, it doesn't make these people guilty of anything. But I thought it was interesting that I kept seeing this theme that none of these individuals were students of UVU. I guess that's just coincidental. Just to go back, we had already discussed Tiffany Barker and that early morning GMA interview, Good Morning America interview that she did with her nieces. So I'm going to show you that again to jog your memory because we have an update. Take a listen.
We're joined now by Tiffany Barker.
Yeah, they just say basically how they seen the killing and this and that. Like, that's not really important.
And everybody fell to the ground, and then people started running and got run over. And I was with my family. We had 16 of us there, so 5 adults. So I remember.
Monday.com.
Yeah, we're not
the opposite of any work platform we tried in the past. We tried other work management platforms. Not maybe.
What we're gonna show is this right here.
And
while the manhunt is going on, and in this sort of short stint of speaking to Good Morning America, you didn't have time to give those details. Now,
how much Charlie bled.
Hired a producer to reach. I think this might have been just a little bit of like political insertion, so to speak. Either way, I will say that, and kids being anywhere where a shot is ringing out is going to be traumatizing to a child. And of course, she is being honest that through discussion, she is the one that kind of gave them the idea regarding the artery.
They got on the channel. The reason why they were able to get on the news channel was because they had a political connection, who their family knew or who their sister knew or whatever.
But then I decided to take a look, or just including this, I was simultaneously taking a look at George Zinn. Obviously, I wanted to track down George Zinn because where was Decoy Boy sitting?
Decoy number 2.
Where exactly was he arrested? And I was able to discover something that I found to be quite odd. George Zinn was arrested in the same area, almost in the exact spot where Charlie's SUV departs. Which to me, if you think somebody is the killer, you probably wouldn't send them in the direction of someone that they just shot. So I wanted to sort of prod that narrative a little bit further. So first, I want you guys, in case you don't understand the layout of this particular, if we're calling it a stadium, that he was sitting, amphitheater that Charlie was sitting, there is a tent, okay? And we're coming inward here. You can see that kind of half hexagon that's sitting there.
Yep. Okay, so that's,
where that dot is where
that's right there is where Charlie was sitting. And then this area right here is where they drove him off, right? So all they did was back up and they drove him off right here. Right, and like right here is where that decoy was sitting. We're gonna be able to see new footage of the decoy number 2, the old man in the blue shirt, right as he gets shot, and how he walks down the stairs and his pants fall and all this crazy stuff. So let's watch all this.
Charlie is sitting, and you can see there's like a bridge walkway, and Charlie has to walk underneath that to get to where his cars are. Okay, so in front of him is the audience in that half hexagon, and yep, we're coming inward right there, where you can see the mouse pointing right there is where the SUVs were waiting, the SUV that carried Charlie. So they just went backwards from where the tent was. Okay, and that underpass is right here. You can see a clear image of it, and you can actually see now we're in that underpass, and or sitting, we are kind of where that SUV was, and you can see the back of the tent that Charlie was in. We were able to determine that it was approximately 40 seconds from the time that the shot rang off to when the security brings Charlie into the waiting SUV. So they moved very quickly from shot to getting him into the SUV, obviously trying to save his life. Then approximately just 1 minute and 8 seconds later, George Zinn is brought to that exact same territory. So Charlie departs, and about 1 minute and 8 seconds later, we've got George Zinn, and he is in handcuffs. And when I say 1 minute and 8 seconds, I'm building in extra seconds. I'm trying to be as precise as possible. I am counting and I'm watching everything. But I found it, again, odd that George Zinn is arrested in the exact same area that they just took Charlie. And it's fast, right? And it's especially fast because we then found footage of George Zinn after the shot rings out, and we're gonna watch this. He's gonna get up, and people are dispersing everywhere, and he kind of calmly gets up and starts making his way down that stadium. You can see that here. We have the light on him, and his pants fall down by themselves. Shit. You can see that his pants did not, like, we were kind of working under the assumption that his pants fell down because, I don't know, the police were pulling him, but that's actually incorrect. They just fall down all by themselves, and you can see that a young man comes by to try to assist him. Yeah. Okay, so has nothing to do with the arrest. Now, to be clear, when we see him sort of making his way down those stairs, we can actually approximate, because we did, like I said, we're counting seconds.
Yeah, they're literally breaking it down, counting the seconds. And how long from that, because that was after the shot was fired, to the time he got arrested.
30 seconds after the shot is fired, okay? And this just fall down all by themselves, and you can see that a young man comes by to try to assist him, okay? So has nothing to do with the arrest. Now, to be clear, when we see him sort of making his way down those stairs, we can actually approximate, because we did, like I said, we're counting seconds, that this happens earliest 30 seconds after the shot is fired, okay? And this clip, that clip that you just watched, is about 20 seconds long. So it's about a full 50 seconds, and we know that George Zinn is still standing right there, okay? So somehow George Zinn needs to get from where you just saw him, where his pants fall, to handcuffs in the SUV zone in about 40 seconds flat. Again, that's very fast. We were able to find the footage of him walking down. He just walks down like you see him. He just is walking down the stairs, and he has his hat in his hand, and he starts waving, and he's going toward the left side of the tent. If you're behind the tent looking forward, like if you have Charlie's view, he is then going to kind of go down, and he walks to the left side of the tent. So I wanted to show you this like second timeline that I put together, because this just lets you know what happens in the immediate aftermath. Charlie, Skylar, I'm not sure if I told you to pull that.
You got to look at every detail. Every detail.
Can you see that?
Don't even think about what the feds are telling you, what they're releasing. Break it down your guys' self. Do your guys' research.
Little timeline that we have. Yeah, no worries. I'll give you a couple of seconds, but we have, Charlie gets shot. 40 seconds later, Charlie's brought to the SUV. 10 seconds after that is where George Zinn's pants fall down in the middle of the departing crowd. And then a minute and 15 seconds after that shot rings out, George Zinn is waving his hat near the left side of the tent. And then at the minute 48 second mark, George Zinn is in handcuffs and he is being pulled near where Charlie's SUV has just departed. It's very quick. Okay. All of this takes place in under 2 minutes. Not the vibe that I got, obviously, when you are behind your cell phone and you're getting all of these updates and you're trying to follow all the X accounts to see who has the newest information. I certainly was not under the impression that all took place in just 2 minutes. So then that photo starts circulating online. You know which photo I'm talking about. It's George Zinn, and he's bent down and he is in handcuffs, and that goes viral. And so I wanted to get to the bottom of that. Who actually shared that photo of George Zinn in handcuffs? And I was able to determine that that was somebody who lived in Utah who advertises with Turning Point USA. And when he did some press about it, he didn't mention that connection to Turning Point USA, but he for sure advertises with them or has advertised in the past. Again, things are moving unbelievably quickly, and I have now watched that footage from many angles. And there's another thing that happens in the immediate aftermath that stands out to me.
Bro, I love the way she's breaking this shit down. She is breaking this shit down.
There is what I assume must be a donor, a sponsor of some description, or an employee of a donor / sponsor. And he tries to get close to Charlie after the shots are fired, but not in like a rescue way. There was already like a team of men that fly in. And then he gets there, and I'm not sure what the intention is. I don't know if it's just like, obviously you're you're shocked. Maybe you're trying to be helpful. Who knows? The security guard just kind of shoos him away immediately.
Stuff,
and then what the guy does is he sort of just stands up and he takes out, walks to the side and takes out his cell phone. So I'm going to show you that. He's right there in the blue shirt. And he sends a text as I'm watching the footage. It goes on a little bit longer, sends a text, takes a photo.
Bro, this guy right here in the blue. Let me pause this. This guy in the blue looks like he ran over there so he could take a picture and show that Charlie's dead. I swear that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me. I'm not saying that's what he did, or, you know what I mean? He could have just been calling his family or calling whoever and saying, hey, this happened, whatever. But it looks very suspicious. Like he's running over there with the emergency team, like if he's going to do something, and then he just takes a picture with his phone and just oh, there's the proof. Boom, got him. You know what I mean? It's very suspicious. I want to rewatch that again. Turn the sound back on.
You know who that is? Unbelievable.
Let's
just
see.
kind of text as
here.
You're shocked.
Okay.
Maybe you're trying to be helpful. Who knows? The security guard just kind of shoos him away immediately. And then what the guy does is he sort of just stands up and he takes out, walks to the side and takes out his cell phone. So I'm going to show you that. He's right there in the blue shirt. And he sends a text as I'm watching the footage. It goes on a little bit longer, sends a text, takes a photo. Not entirely clear what's being done there, but it just sort of stood out to me in the middle of the chaos, seeing that. And I would really like to know who that is, because we had received a ton of messages from current employees at Turning Point that had mentioned that company. He's wearing a shirt that says WireFi. And according to the sources at Turning Point, it was a rather young company, meaning that the company hasn't been around for very long. that came out in a really big way in terms of sponsorship for this tour. And that's common sense, given the fact that Wi-Fi, you will notice in the clips of the event, is the backdrop advertiser that's behind Charlie. So maybe this person came because it's his first event of the season and they are the major sponsors. Like I said, judging by the placement and the fact that a Wi-Fi donor or employee is there, we can draw the conclusion that they sponsored this very event.
So that's why they're
and
there,
I'm interested in knowing who
tour.
that is. So if you've got any answers for that, please let me know, because I would like to see what he took a picture of and to get his perspective on things. Certainly would like to identify who that individual is. I then decided to try to track down the origin of a video that actually no press has been done on. It was the video of I assumed it was a student, and I think
the person on the roof that the kids
we shouldn't make assumptions. Who recorded the shooter on the roof? Remember that started going viral.
This
Remember
is what I really
the
wanted to do. This is what made me do the stream, bro. For real. Like this is really what did it right here. Watch this.
Footage, and they're like, and there's a guy that's kind of speaking in the background. We can show you that footage right now. Let's take a look at that footage that we're referring to.
Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying. He just ran from over, where's my finger? Whoa. From over there, ran in. And now he's right there.
Wow.
Just saying.
Okay.
That's
so this footage proved
that's not the same roof that Tyler Perry, whatever his name is, Tyler Perry. Tyler, the other one that they're blaming, decoy number 2. Yeah.
Very difficult to track down. And what I mean by that is it was very simple for me to find the account that published the video and made the video viral. And when I reached out to that individual, they were immediately responsive. And I said, hey, where'd you get this footage from? And the individual said to me, a friend of a friend's family member sent it. So I'm like, okay, you're telling me the chain is already twice removed. I said, do you know who took the video? And he said, no, I don't know who took the video. And when I asked the person who sent it to me to tell me who did, because I have all of these journalists, including yourself, reaching out to me, trying to get to the bottom of it, he just stopped answering me. I said, so your friend who sent you this video just stops answering you? And he then sends me a screenshot of a conversation that they're having on an app that I don't recognize, right? So we are prodding that, and he has been responsive, so I'm sure he'll tell me what app this is. And sure enough, the person says, well, there were 2 people actually who took that footage, which obviously isn't possible, but there are 2 people that were involved in taking that footage, and he sends him 2 numbers. And those 2 numbers were both Chicago-based. And when I looked up whose numbers those were, it looked to me like that was just kind of leading to nowhere. Like, why are these 2 Chicago-based numbers? It was very weird and very sketchy. So then I have a guy who's on the ground in Utah, and I asked him, a student, to start looking around, fishing around, and seeing if he could figure out who took that photo. Again, operating under the assumption that this must have been a student that was walking by.
Bro, and I heard that they ran and told security right away that there was a person up on the roof. And they gave him the description and everything. And it's not the description of Tyler. And nobody mentioned that. But no, Cash Patel's tweeting every little thing that he hears coming out, but they're not going to say that.
Pelosi Center. And he comes back and he says, I have a number of an individual. This is allegedly the person who took the footage. And I said, do you know that person? Is this a UVU student? He said, no. And I said, well, where did you get this number from? And he says, well, on the day, there was a guy named Aaron who was walking around and was checking on people. And Aaron is the one that gave me this number. I don't know Aaron even, but he's the person that gave it to me. So then I said, can I have Aaron's number? He gives me Aaron's number. And Aaron also has a Chicago number. So I'm getting from somebody on the ground, and I'm getting from this person on Twitter that all of these Chicago numbers are involved, and that's not making sense to me. And I then tried to text that number of the person who allegedly shot the footage. We didn't get a response until today. We finally got a response from that person.
Nice.
Hop on the phone with him. He explains that it wasn't just him, but it was one other person who he was walking with, who saw this person run across. Neither of them are students of UVU. One of them said he was a student at BYU, which is Brigham Young University. And he's like, well, I didn't take the footage, but my friend took the footage. And his friend does not have a Chicago-based number. So I am confused. And we ask if he'd be willing to send us the footage and to get us on the phone with the person who actually took the footage. I had a conversation with that individual after all this running around, hence the reason these episodes take so long to put together, because you're calling people, you're waiting for responses. And what he said to me completely betrays the narrative of what the FBI has put out.
It's crazy. This is some new information. Watch, check this out.
Working to quadruple confirm exactly who this individual is. But he was a very much, and maybe this is a poor way of saying it, a straight shooter, said, yes, you know, I have training. And I don't want to give too many identifying details here, but this person himself has a lot of experience with guns and knows guns and, you know, helps to train people in that sort of a capacity, and said that they observed that individual, the FBI saying that the shooter dropped onto the roof at 12:15 didn't make sense to him. He said earliest it was 12:22 that the individual ran across, set up, took the shot. And I said, well, you must have been there, because he then sends me I wanted to see all of the metadata of when he took that footage. And the metadata begins at 12:22 and goes into 12:23, the very minute that Charlie gets shot. And he says, yeah, I saw the shot. I had just stopped recording about 20 seconds before the shot rang out. And he said that he told them a description of what the shooter looked like. And it was not the description that the entire world received less than 24 hours later of this person, Tyler Robinson, wearing jeans. I said, was he wearing jeans? He said, no. Actually, this person was dressed in tactical gear and he was wearing a face mask. And he said, according to him, and like I said, he has a lot of experience with guns, that this person looked to him like a foreign agent. I don't know if he's wearing all black, how he got that, but he said he was very certain that this person was skilled, knew exactly what he was doing, and was highly trained, like a highly trained assassin, so to speak. Okay. He then says something else. As soon as George Zinn got arrested and that started circulating, he ran to someone on campus and said, this is the wrong person. I observed this person with my eyes. You have the complete wrong description. The person you're looking for is wearing tactical gear and is obviously young, because I watched him sprint back after taking the shot. I saw this with my own two eyes. And for whatever reason, that never made its way out that we can see of a description of a person wearing tactical gear. We're kind of left with this idea that he was wearing.
They were given the real description and they never put that out. Why would you do that? Maybe because you don't want people to know the real description, right? Very suspicious.
The now infamous veterans shirt with the American flag on it and some jeans. So he also said something that we had not heard, which is that he...
Ready to start eating healthier? Meet Kachap.
Yeah, this is all new information, and I'm even going to make a short on her saying that part right there, because that is
not really the gun that he saw. That the gun that he saw was smaller. He said he was very certain that this person was skilled, knew exactly what he was doing, and was highly trained, like a highly trained assassin, so to speak. Okay. He then says something else. As soon as George Zinn got arrested and that started circulating, he ran to someone on campus and said, this is the wrong person. I observed this person with my eyes. You have the complete wrong description. The person you're looking for is wearing tactical gear and is obviously young, because I watched him sprint back after taking the shot. I saw this with my own two eyes. And for whatever reason, that never made its way out that we can see of a description of a person wearing tactical gear. We're kind of left with this idea that he was wearing the now infamous veterans shirt with the American flag on it and some jeans. So he also said something that we had not heard, which is that he knows guns, and the gun that the FBI found was not the gun that he saw, that the gun that he saw was smaller. And I'm going to read you directly a text message that he sent me, again, protecting his identity. He said, watching the video of the impact, hearing the sharp crack instead of a big hunting rifle's boom, and seeing what looked like a shorter rifle platform, albeit with the absence of the shape of a standard 30-round magazine, the assassin may have used a 10 or 20-round magazine, only expecting to shoot once or twice. I would guess that he was shot with a Hornady V Max or similar lightweight 223 bullet designed for very rapid expansion. Of course, I don't have access to any autopsy reports like you might, but if they found small shards of copper rather than one large copper-coated lead slug, that's the gun and bullet I would expect was used. So I wanted to share that because I know that a part of this entire thing was our upset at kind of being taken for a ride by the FBI. It makes no sense to me that they wouldn't share those details immediately while this manhunt was taking place. We got every other name and basically every other description, and we're told nothing like what this person who says that he was an eyewitness, he was the eyewitness to this, and that he went right in and said all this information. Why wouldn't you share the eyewitness report that you received that completely counters the narrative? And I would say, again, assuming this guy's story checks out, and it seems to me that it did, and he sent us the data, and we looked at the metadata that he was the person who took that video, it doesn't make sense to me. It literally makes no sense to me that they would obfuscate these details when they're speaking to the public. So, yeah. Like I said, we are exploring every lead here, and I just found that to be quite stunning. I don't know what to make of all of this.
Yeah,
I guess what we make every single episode is the fact that
I love Candace Owens, bro. I have so much respect for her. She breaks it down, bro. She is breaking it down, and she is not gonna stop, bro. And I got mad respect for her. I tip my hat to her for real, for real.
They're just lying to us.
Well, what she just said was all new information, bro. That's all new information. That's a whole new. That's actually what we were thinking. Is that couldn't have been a 30-06 round. That could not have been a 30-06 round. His whole head would have been missing, bro. His whole head would have been missing, and that whole thing would have been splattered like, bro. Blood would have been everywhere. No, at all. It does not make no sense at all. The bullet, that wasn't in a 30-06. His head wouldn't even have been there if that was a 30-06. And it would have went through the back wall and the wall behind that and probably the school. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. There's no way that was a 30-06.
Us about everything, about literally everything. Anyways, you guys, I want to get to some of the responses and answers that were given by Andrew Colvett, who is the PR agent for Turning Point USA. He sat down with Alex Clark and addressed some of the things that have been going viral, particularly as it pertains to taking down the footage in the minutes following
the dude that broke down the
shooting.
I paid for my own college, so I knew I'd have to start a...
That dude immediately takes down the camera and seizes the footage, right? And then makes a copy, right? I wouldn't doubt it. What I was saying was, like, that dude took down the camera and took the footage out, made a copy and gave it to the feds, and the feds didn't even release it, bro. Can you believe that shit? I'm talking about the camera that was behind Charlie. That shit is crazy. But yeah, she's definitely treading on thin water, and she knows what she's doing is dangerous, but she has so much courage, bro. I have so much respect for this woman right now, for real. Like, she has so much courage, bro.
To some of our sponsors, Preborn.
Hold on, she is the only one trying this hard to break this shit down. The only one.
I've watched too many people who I am close to be vilified for standing up for truth. I've felt the sting of injustice, but I've also felt something else, which is
this is This is a straight psyop, bro. Look at how it was set up and how it was planned and executed. Like there was two decoys, two if not three decoys to throw off the public and to throw off everybody. And the moment that they get a real description from a witness, from an eyewitness, they don't even release that. They keep that on the hush hush. Bro, what is wrong with the feds? Either they're incompetent or they're stupid or they're full of it. One of the two. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand. They're still being weaponized. I thought Kash Patel was supposed to stop the weaponization of freaking the feds by these agencies, by these three-letter agencies. I don't understand, bro. That fool, he was saying so much before he became the director, and then now he turned into a whole different person, bro.
Courage. I think most of us are done playing defense. We don't want to water down what we believe to be palatable, because silence is not kindness. It's actually just consent. And right now, the greatest silence surrounds lives that are being ended before they even take their first breath. If we are going to call ourselves defenders of life, then we have to act like that. That's why I'm asking you to join me to fight back with action, with truth.
And remember, Robinson never admits to doing it. He never admits to doing it. Besides in their fake freaking text messages or Discord messages that ain't even on the message. They ain't showing no timestamps or nothing. They're literally a transcript. Bro, this is just insane, bro. I can't even believe that this is real. This is really happening. It just blows my mind, the hypocrisy and the way that they think the public is so freaking stupid, bro. And like the public's just, they're blind to the facts,
with love,
bro.
for $28. That is what it costs to give an ultrasound, a free ultrasound, to a woman that is in crisis and considering an abortion. Just $28. When the workday ends, and blanket. So
what else this shit has
involved, you know, bullets tend to have magical properties. Anyways, I've said yesterday.
Oh, and the fact that they're saying that, oh, it was a miracle that the bullet stopped, that the bullet, that freaking the bullet stopped in his neck, bro. How is that a miracle that he stopped the bullet? Wouldn't it be a miracle if he didn't die? You know what I mean? If he got shot in the neck and he didn't die? You know what I mean? Like, bro, this shit is getting crazy. I don't understand how nobody could see how bad our country is falling apart. Not only our country, the world, bro. Look, go take a look at all the countries around the world right now, and they're all in some type of major crisis, bro. Look at Nepal. They're getting over, their government's getting overthrown. Gaza's getting destroyed. Ukraine and Russia's at war, bro. This shit, and man, this is just a straight psyop. This is straight psyop, bro. It looks like it was straight planned and executed in a straight psyop way, bro. Like the way that they have decoys, the way that the old man went out there and was like, I'm the shooter. Not even 2 minutes after the shot was fired. And then like, it's just crazy, bro. It's crazy. I've never seen it so blatantly thrown out there like this. You know what I mean? Stuff like this back in the day would have been such big fucking like news and like shock to the world. Now everybody's so desensitized. It's just like it's just another thing.
His job is pretty tough, and it's crazy, made even tougher by the fact that he.
If Americans think that what's going on in the world is not gonna happen here, are not gonna reach the grounds, they're fucking crazy, bro.
If he's told to say something, he has to say it. That's just how it works in PR. And I'm sure there are lawyers involved as well. He went on to the Alex Clark podcast. Now, it was kind of billed. I think people were expecting, but actually Alex Clark never did say that. That Erica Kirk was going to be the one to answer questions pertaining to Charlie.
You're not going to believe
what's up with these damn commercials, bro? Oh, I do got some other ones to show. Like what Valhalla says and shit. Watch, Valhalla goes in on this one. Watch, let's see his channel real quick. We'll go back to Candace in a second. Because Valhalla breaks down what a 30-06 caliber would do to a freaking neck, bro. Would do to somebody's head, bro. You guys gotta check this shit out.
Those who answer the call of the vagabond know that the best stories aren't about where you went.
These commercials are ridiculous.
They're about how you got there.
Okay, here we go.
Just like that and going, that's total bullshit. Guys, I'm sorry. But
right
this is from top. Check it out. I'll put his link in the pinned comment and description if you want to watch the whole video.
This is what.
So our first shot will be a cold bore shot, and we will just see what kind of results.
This is what 30-06 does to a bone. That's twice as strong.
All right, so he's got some very thick bone here across the strap of this dummy. Obviously, this would be far thicker and stronger than a human vertebrae in the neck. Let's see what this 30-06 rounds does to it. Wow.
Hold on. Okay.
Duplicate.
If you guys
look so he's got some very thick bone here across the strap of this dummy. Obviously, this would
look at that bone. All right, that bone is twice as thick, maybe 3 times as thick as the bones in the back of your neck. Okay, and they're saying that a 30-06 bullet stopped. Okay, that it stopped, and it was right under his skin. That it was a miracle that it was right under his skin.
would be far thicker and stronger than a human vertebrae in the neck. Let's see what this 30-06 rounds does to it.
Ooh.
Wow.
Bro, that would have been
right from this.
That would have been his freaking head. Okay, and it would have went through the wall behind it, through the next one. Bro.
Angle as you can see here. Vertebrae in the neck. Let's see what this 30-06 rounds does to it.
Oh my god.
Wow. Right from this angle, rounds strong, very thick bone here across the strap of this dummy. Obviously, this would be far thicker and stronger than a human vertebrae in the neck. Let's see what this 30-06 rounds does to it. Wow.
Oh my god, bro. And they think that Charlie's neck stopped the 30-06 from 100 to 200 yards with almost 2,000 miles per hour velocity. It's like 1,500 or something like that. But it's a lot. It's just fast as fuck. You ain't stopping that shit. That shit's going through engine blocks. You know what I mean? That shit's going through engine blocks. Like.
All right, from this angle, as you can see here. Huh. Not only does it go through that bone, it
He's shooting from 150 yards. 150 yards. Holy shit. So they say Charlie's shooter was I think it was 152 yards. I believe that they're saying they think if that's where he was. Something like that.
Explodes the bone.
100
blows through
yards,
the dummy.
give or take. But
also, as we'll see here in a second, blows through the wall behind it.
Like we did kind of also think, the bone stood no chance against a 30 caliber round traveling at that high of a velocity. So now we're going to give it reset it back up.
Now put a ballistic vest on it. Let's put a ballistic plate right on it and see what a 30-06 does to the ballistic plate. All right?
And put the ballistic plate in front of it and see if we can't duplicate that shot.
Even though he didn't have a vest on.
Right now, he actually shoots a ballistic plate with 30-06 round.
Let me just show you what it does.
Destroys the plate.
Destroyed it. Ripped it right apart.
Second he's there, just ripped the entire half of that plate off. So there you go, guys. You just saw right there for you. Wow.
Where's the plate? Right here.
My name's Todd Prither. I've been an environmental health and safety manager for the past 15 years.
Okay, here we go.
With 30-06 round.
It hit the top of the plate right there. destroys it. Goes right through like butter. Right through like butter. Rips it right out.
The entire half of that plate off. So there you go, guys.
So you're telling me that a 30-06 bullet that'll rip through a ballistic plate, rip through a concrete wall, rip through an engine block, rip through one or two mooses at one time like butter, and you're telling me that Charlie Kirk's vertebrae in the back of his neck that's like thinner than freaking chicken bone stopped a 30-06 bullet? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. That's just retarded, bro. That is so retarded, bro. I swear.
Just saw, I mean, right there for you, 30-06 round. Damage it's going to do, went through way bigger bone than a vertebrae, through the dummy, through the wall. Blew the entire top section of that ballistic plate off. But Charlie Kirk's neck, flesh and a little vertebrae stopped that round. And it's not just me. I looked at every single one of these posts and I went to the comment section. What do the regular populace think about this when they heard this? All right, so from the post from the right-winged angel, Turning Point USA spokesman Andrew Kovats said Saturday that Charlie Kirk's surgeon called an absolute miracle. And the very first comment, bullshit button.
Okay, Turning Point USA spokesman Andrew Kovic said Saturday that Charlie Kirk's surgeon called it an absolute miracle. Absolute miracle that the fatal bullet didn't exit his body. How is that a miracle? Wouldn't it be a miracle if he got hit in the neck and survived? How is it a miracle that it didn't go through? It didn't go through and hit the wall behind him? Like, we're considering that miracles now? Oh my God, bro.
That's not how bullets work. Bruh, ain't no way you believe this. I follow this account just to see the lack of critical thinking and laugh. This is a fantasy feel good. Makes no sense. But now here's the problem, because you're actually going to have tons.
This is insane, bro. This is insane. Okay, let's see. You said iron. Let's go back to this chick.
But we're going to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, he was very principled in that way.
He was extremely principled, especially on foreign money. I remember moments we'd be at like an event, you know, and some foreign people would come up and like demand a meeting or try and get a meeting with Charlie, and Charlie would look at me and go, deal with them, get rid of them. Like, just, I don't want to talk to them.
Okay, so there is this thing called FARA, and every country, if they're going to influence people, if you're...
Okay, Ion Kirk, there we go.
Real quick before we wrap up is there's a lot of people pushing the envelope on this conversation right now. A lot of experts chiming in that you should be watching and following along with. Shout out to Outside
This is last video.
He is an ex-ballistics instructor, ex-military. He's been doing a lot of work, and he sort of is one of the driving people behind the idea that maybe there's a shooter off to the side and up behind maybe. He's been having discussions with people like Paramount Tactical. Also Valhalla VFT is making ongoing coverage, and he's also all these guys.
Yes, sir. I love Opera, bro. I've only been using it for about 2 months.
There's a ton of people contributing. I can never name them all, but it's important to give some credit where credit's due, because I'm just learning from all these guys. So
I love the fact that you can pull any video that you're watching and put it anywhere you want on the screen. And you don't have to like have like a it doesn't have to be locked in position. Like, you could have it anywhere. I like that. And then I like all the little special the quick keys and the hot keys and shit that it has. It has a lot more than Google Chrome.
I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for bringing an open mind, thinking critically, coming to your own conclusions. Hopefully you do not agree with all of mine, but hopefully this helped you kind of see the spread of what's going on the internet right now and what everyone's thinking, what the experts are thinking, what seems most likely. And you most likely shouldn't trust the government. Bye.
Yeah, because you can categorize them and stuff, and you could create little islands and shit. So yeah, I don't really know how to do that yet, but I've seen it done. I need to start utilizing that.
Yeah, that's what's up, team. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Is this guy gonna start talking?
Cuando un camión comercial o tráiler le choca, los efectos en
Maybe we should have watched the video right under, but let's check this out. This is a new one. Oh, a day ago. You didn't have one today?
Y'all can't hear the video audio, huh? Y'all can't hear the video. Lapel mic super bomb thing. It's like,
bro, this ain't the video I wanted to use, Rich. Where's his video at? The one I watched earlier. This one, I think.
breaking news, folks. Turns out Charlie Kirk had bones of steel, strong enough to stop bullets. We just got our first bit of actual confirmation about findings of the autopsy, and they make the story even more unbelievable, if you could believe it. We'll tell you more all about that in just a minute. But the important thing is that Tyler Robinson is safe and sound in FBI custody, waiting for all the cameras to shut off and the guards to take a nap so that he can do a little bit of bedsheet origami. The FBI has charged him with aggravated murder, along with a host of other supporting charges, and are seeking the death. Just like they did with
the... That fool's gonna get off.
Consider a thought. Agency hit job is very different than that of a lone vigilante. And keep in mind, we know quite well that intel agencies usually try to disguise their tracks to make it look like the work of a lone nut. But that's actually not as easy as they'd like it to be, especially in the age of cell phones and 4K video. So, today we're going to look at the official story of who shot Charlie Kirk and examine the most significant discrepancies in the official narrative. And then we'll explore the other half of this scandal, which is this breaking conversation about America's entanglement with Israel, for which Charlie has become the very quintessence of that entanglement. And his murder at this incredibly tense moment feels a lot like the shot heard around the world. To be clear, I am not making the argument in this video that we have enough evidence to accuse Israel of the crime. And no one is saying that.
Check this out.
Candace and Tucker...
You know what I think this shit was done for? I think this was done to create a massive division between the Democrats and the Republicans, to create this massive division and conflict in our country. That way, because what do you need for control? What is the basic thing? You need division, right? To be able to control, you need division. So I think that this event or tragedy, I shouldn't say event, this tragedy caused a humongous, huge division in our country and a lot of hate in our country against each other. And I think that was intentionally done. That's just my personal thoughts.
Tucker and Dave Smith and Megyn Kelly, all the big conservative influencers that have been swept up into this conversation around Israel, none of them have made even the slightest claim that Israel is involved at all. And I have intentionally not contacted Candace to ask what she knows. I don't want any inside intel. This is not my fight. I didn't know Charlie. He wasn't my friend. I am just a dude on the outside looking in. And from where I'm
sitting, guy breaks it down too. I watched this yesterday
Israel
too,
is
so this guy
currently the
does break
most
it down.
likely suspect, which is very different from claiming that they for sure.
Yeah, I heard that they offered him like something like $150 million. Candace talks about this, that they were offering him $150 million to like be a major supporter, so they could be a major donor. That way they would have a lot of influence in his narrative and what he's trying to do, what he speaks on, and this and that, right? And I think he turned them down, and I think that caused a lot of tension and between the donors that he's working with and this and that. And Turning Point USA, I think everybody kind of betrayed him and I think turned their back on him. I really do. That's kind of what the conspiracy is right now. So we're just gonna have to see, you know. But it's not about what I think. It's about what the facts are and what's coming out, and us thinking and trying to brainstorm what the fuck is really going on, because they're not telling us what's going on. You know what I mean? They're not going to.
Sure did it. But by the end of this video, we'll go over all the evidence that supports that claim and also examine all the other possible explanations for what we know so far. So,
what's the secret to peak
fucking
health?
commercial after commercial, bro. It's just as bad as Twitter or Twitch.
What do we know so far? Well, we know a fair bit that the FBI officially told us. We don't know if it's actually true or not, but we know that they told us that it was true. Things like videos of a suspect jumping off the roof of the Lossy Center.
Don't
Things
believe
like
what you see.
Photos of a
Believe what we
suspect with
tell
a
you.
backpack on campus, allegedly concealing a rifle. We know that they gave us a basic timeline of events and a very questionable test.
You know, on all the footage that they released of Tyler, I never once seen him with the gun. Did you guys ever see him with the gun? Has anybody ever seen Tyler with the gun? Because that picture when he is walking on the street and he's limping, I think that picture's after he jumped off the roof and he's walking home. And that he fucking hurt his fucking leg, busting his fucking knee to his face. That's what I think. It didn't look like he had a rifle. That rifle butt would have went up to his fucking mouth. That's how big that 30-06 rifle that they found was.
Text message exchange. We're about to go over all of that, and we're mostly going to focus on the most glaring holes in the story because the internet is flooded with theories, and some of them are
I think
wild.
I had it and it ran out.
Maybe Charlie's lav mic was actually secretly modified to shoot him in the throat like Mossad pager style. But even in the extremely unlikely event that that's true, how are you going to prove that, dog? How are you going to, right? Maybe.
Wait, hold
but
on.
let's
What
be
did he
real.
say?
It's just as possible that a robot
hold on. What did he
secretly
say?
modified to shoot him in the throat like Mossad pager
okay, I see
style.
what he's saying.
But even in the extremely unlikely event that that's true, how are you going to prove that, dog? How are you going to, right? Maybe, but let's be real.
Nope.
It's just as possible that a robot bird sniped him with a classified top secret projectile launcher, or that drones with lasers and DARPA technology. It's you're never going to prove any of that, and that's fine. I want to focus on the obvious stuff, the evidence that they're lying to us. For example, the video that the FBI released of allegedly Tyler Robinson jumping down from the roof, which we know beyond any doubt had line of sight
And why
to
is
the
Cash
shooting
Patel
position.
tweeting every fucking thing, bro? Before he even confirms it or know if it's true, this fucker's already tweeting everything out. He's worse than a fucking TikToker, bro. Oh my God, bro. Dude's worse than Elon Musk, bro. He's fucking up, bro, bad.
They chose not to show us the actual shot for some reason. We'll get to that in just a second. But let's get ourselves there by starting at the start of the manhunt for Tyler Robinson, which actually starts with him getting the wrong guy twice. First,
2 decoys.
George Zinn, a 70-something-year-old Ashkenazi Jewish man, made a huge commotion in the crowd, claiming he was the shooter. He later told reporters that he did this intentionally to help the shooter escape. And he somehow has a history of showing up at major world events as first a witness to the attack on September 11th, and then calling in a fake bomb threat in the wake of the Boston Marathon bombing. This dude makes no sense.
And he had some dirty shit on his computer.
You remember Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Yeah.
So they probably
Spies show
blackmailed him
up
and said,
at
"Hey, if
major
you don't
world
do
events
this,"
because they're in the business of shaping major world events. Already, this dude has my hackles up about intel agency involvement. So, by 8 p.m. on the night of the shooting, Cash is on Twitter announcing that the subject in custody has been released after being interrogated. They got the wrong guy, twice actually.
Bro, this has intelligence smell all over it, bro. I'm telling you, the way it was done, the way it's put out, just everything.
Also held another dude briefly. I haven't seen any reporting on who he was or why he was detained. Here, real quick, let's actually watch the George Zinn video.
We don't know if it's him or not.
So the old man and Tyler's supposed to be the second decoy. You know what I mean?
One more time.
We don't know if it's him or not.
So he says, shoot me, as he's being taken away. He apparently was yelling, I did it, shoot me. But then, on September 11th, at noon, the day after the assassination, the FBI puts out these photos. We are asking for the public's help identifying this person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. 1-800-CALL-FBI. And we all remember these photos with the American flag shirt. Pretty grainy. Pretty hard to see what's going on here. No rifle, right?
Where's the gun?
And then,
where's the
at
gun?
8 p.m., they put out 4 more photos. The FBI continues to work alongside our law enforcement partners to seek justice in the murder of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University on September 10th. We're releasing additional photos of a person of interest. Information about this developing investigation.
You're gonna have a hard time proving this in court, right? Like, where's his gun?
So these photos were put out the next day, right? The next night, actually. And we all remember seeing these photos. And again,
how do we know that was the same day?
Right?
Exactly.
Like, does he have
No
a
one
rifle
sees the
down his
rifle.
pants?
Where's the gun?
Is he, like, is that why he had a limp in the video that TMZ put out? Sure looks like he's bending his knees. Right? That's his right leg. That's his left leg. 30-06, like a Mauser hunting rifle, is a pretty big gun.
Sorry,
those are pretty skinny jeans. All of the experienced shooters, special forces, all those guys on the internet are having a hard time squaring the theory that he stuffed this rifle down his pants and that it's somehow concealed in these photos. But it gets even better because at 10 p.m. they put out this video.
Let's see this video.
And we all remember seeing where, and as it zooms in, you can see the suspect running on the left side of this structure.
Mm-hmm.
Then in a minute, he appears on the right side of the structure running still. 12:23, 48 p.m. He's got something in his hand.
Who's to say he wasn't just... Does Mark Kerr still have it in him? And where's the gun?
I just need you to let me in.
Where's the gun?
And the big question is he carrying a rifle right now?
No.
Is this shape that he's putting down as he clambers over the edge, is that a Mauser hunting rifle?
No.
Listen, I'm not the gun expert. I am not the gun guy. That is not a rifle. And a lot of the gun guys, as far as I can tell, all the gun guys agree. That is not a rifle. And as he climbs over and jumps down, you can tell that the rifle's not down his pants.
Yep, because he would have killed himself.
Because he would have just split his jeans completely in half as he landed. As he picks it up and runs away.
No
is
rifle.
this thing in his hand? Is this a rifle?
No.
It looks a lot more like a sweatshirt or maybe his backpack. He actually has to grab his hat with his other hand and put it back on his head.
That's not a rifle.
Is it a rifle?
No.
I mean, maybe if you...
That's not a 30-06 rifle.
Aren't familiar with how big this rifle would be. But there's another problem, too. Where once he clambers, jumps down, picks his shit up.
Now, the fact that the dude that took the footage of the guy on the roof is his description, his eyewitness description, shows a foreign agent in tactical gear with a mask on. So, I can't rule that out. Can't rule that out.
It's not a rifle. And once he runs off over here, there's people all over the place out here, actually. Here it looks like he's kind of all alone, but like there's people in the parking lot, there's dudes walking by on the street, and he's just carrying a giant rifle. concealed in this floppy towel, allegedly. There's cars all over the place. A shot just rang out, a very loud shot. Yeah. So.
Actually, wasn't that loud because it wasn't a 30-06.
Right away. But there's an even bigger problem with this video and with their official story.
Yeah. He takes it apart, then puts it back, and then takes it apart to throw it away. No, when you take apart a weapon, when you do something and you need to get rid of the shit, when you take it apart, you're throwing pieces over there, pieces over there, pieces over there. You ain't putting that shit back together so they can find it. That is retarded. That is just retarded. Even the basic fucking outlaw knows that shit. Like, that is retarded. I mean, no, and then the clothes change too. Yeah, I'm gonna change my clothes over there, looking like a college kid, and then I'm gonna change my clothes when I leave, and then change my clothes again back into the clothes that I needed to burn, that I did the hit in. That way I can get arrested in the same clothes. That don't make no fucking sense either, bro. Like, they're fucking up, bro. They're fucking up bad.
Right? Let's look at this one more time. What do you notice about this video? What's wrong with this picture? Right there in the video, you can see that this camera has a clear and unobstructed view of the entire roof of the Lossy Center.
So that means that he should be on video shooting, right?
To get eyes on the camera that took this video and confirm the suspicion that I just laid out, that we can see the location where the shot was fired from. Why aren't they showing us that extra 3 seconds of the video right before they started this? Right? So, this is Blake Bednar's, and he actually went to campus and located the spot.
Yeah, and that's if you
and he's
gotta
gonna find
have the
us
right
this camera.
tools.
So this is
it
the
takes
corner
two
where
separate
homie
tools
jumped
to
off
take
the
apart
roof.
that gun.
It's over here to the right. He's in the parking lot right now, and he's looking right up there. And that is the security camera.
But even then, it would still be fucking that long. Each one would still be like that long,
is the security
bro.
camera.
Each one
on Google
like
Earth.
Each piece, bro. I'm talking.
This
like,
is the building that we are watching him jump off
fit
of.
in the backpack without hanging out the back of it.
He took the shot from over here, allegedly. Then he ran across the roof, and the video showed him starting right here, running across behind this structure, and then he appeared out from behind the structure here, and this is where he jumped down here, and then he ran across this grassy knoll.
With no gun.
In the video from Blake
He never had a gun,
we
bro.
saw
He didn't
him
even have a gun when he walked
right
over
about
there.
here, and he was looking up in this direction at this building, trying to see the camera, and he saw the camera right here. And actually, you can pretty much see an artifact that looks a lot like the camera right there on the corner of that building. And so, what can that corner see? This corner can see everything. It can see the whole roof. And
So
we
that
can tell
means
that
from
just
that
from the
footage
video.
that
You
they
didn't
got,
need to
that
see
they
this,
released,
but if you needed any more proof, they
should
have video
show him take
of
the shot
allegedly
if he took the
shot
shot.
being taken. But they chose not to release it. They chose to cut 3 seconds later and just
Why
show
did they
a
cut
dude
it?
running. So the first
Is it because
big
he didn't
problem
take the
with
shot?
official stories
He
is they
didn't have a gun?
chose not to show the video of the shot being fired.
And they want to blame him?
certainly have it if in fact this person is the shooter and took the shot from there, but they chose to cut the video just like 3 seconds later so that it didn't show the actual crime. Strike one. The second big problem also surrounds this video, and it's the rifle, right? We don't actually have any video or photo evidence that this suspect or Tyler Robinson was ever holding that rifle anywhere on campus.
Ever.
It's not visible in any of the photos. It's not visible in the video they released. A lot of people have gone back and forth about it. But they could just have shown us the video of him shooting the damn thing. But since they didn't show us that, we are left to speculate about where he's hiding it as he runs. And the FBI claims that
He
they
never
found a
has a gun, bro.
screwdriver on the roof, which is important. Because how else could he have had the rifle concealed in the photos that they showed us, other than if he had it disassembled? Even then, I have very little confidence that
Oh, and
he's
he just
actually
had
concealing
DNA
a
on
whole
everything
rifle
all of a sudden.
in those photos. But he needs a screwdriver, and I think an Allen wrench to put it back together. And so on the roof, we've got a screwdriver. Nice, that's convenient. Except, the only problem is that we were told by the government that he disassembled the rifle after taking the shot, which he obviously didn't, but that's what we were told. Presumably because it doesn't look like he's carrying a rifle when he runs across the roof and jumps off the roof, and everyone can see that. So it must have been hidden in his backpack, which it wouldn't fit inside of. But anyways, how do we know that he didn't have time to disassemble this rifle? Well, one of the first videos that came out shows us why he didn't have time to disassemble
3
this
seconds
rifle.
after the shot rang,
So,
he's
right
already
up here,
in full sprint.
You can see this
He's already
figure
in
on the
full
rooftop.
sprint, bro.
And you can see how this figure is getting closer to this
3
little
seconds after the
square
shot.
boxy formation. The camera is panning, which makes it hard to tell. But just the briefest analysis shows that now the figure is like right behind that box, right? So, first frame of the video kind of looks like, I don't even know, it's like very big. Just holding something or something. Starts running. Just about behind the box. That is the shooter running. And right now in the video, the crowd is all just starting to duck. It's been like 3 seconds since the shot.
I don't even think the shooter was ever
So,
really
we can
on that roof. He
clearly
was on
see
the
the
other
figure
roof
on the
that
roof
what- the
running
one that
within
the kid
seconds
showed.
of the shot being fired. Then, cut to the video provided by the FBI, and it's clear that this video also starts seconds after the shooting. Let's just, for
So where's him
clarification,
shooting the rifle?
look at it one more time.
That's what I wanna
So if the
know.
figure started running right after the shot was fired, here, the figure's already running. And presumably, like, this box right here is probably the square shape on top of the roof that we saw the figure getting close to. But the figure's already running, right? And he's not that far from over there, so this is presumably within 4 or 5 seconds of the shot being fired, right? He fires the shot, he takes off running. Is the rifle in his hands? Sure doesn't look like it. Could he have put it into his backpack? Like, let's be real, no. But people started trying to suggest that maybe it had a collapsible stock.
No, it
that
didn't.
it could have folded up real fast. But no, that is not a collapsible stock. That is a fixed stock.
And what, he put
Weird
it back
scope
together
placement.
to give it to the feds, or put
And
it back
interestingly,
together
the New
to
York
let them
Post
find it?
article that published this
Make
photo
no
on
sense.
September 11th, titled "Imported Mauser Rifle Used in Charlie Kirk Assassination Recovered in Wood," sources say.
What
that
sources
article's
say that?
gone.
Oh,
Which is kind of weird. The rifle we're told that he used, people have been disassembling them on TikTok left and right. You can go find videos of people disassembling Mausers with tools. Fastest I've seen is like 50 seconds. There's clearly not 50 seconds to disassemble a Mauser with precision little tools. Not to mention that then he left the tool apparently on the roof and then had to reassemble it later before he drops it in the woods. Duh. So if he has the rifle when he's coming off the roof, it's in his hand. It's not down his pants, partly because the fully assembled rifle is way too big for that, and he obviously lands like a total nerd when he jumps off the roof,
That is not
and
a
both of his
rifle.
knees bend well past 90 degrees. So it has to be in his hand, right? It has to be in his hand. Although we don't see even the slightest indicator of it being in his hand. We don't see anything shaped like a rifle, except for this floppy cloth that he puts down. So that black shape right there, that black clothy shape is doing some pretty heavy lifting. Because the FBI's entire case rests on that shape being a rifle.
Has to
If
be,
that is
right?
not a rifle, the entire case is by definition fabricated. All lies.
Yep.
Because if it's not, then there's no rifle even
They
on
just
the
got
roof.
a guy jumping off
and
the
everything
roof.
else is a lie, right?
They don't got
so you
anything.
better feel damn
He
confident
could have got up there
that
because he
shape
wanted
right
to see
there
Charlie Kirk.
is a rifle.
What? You got a famous guy coming to the campus. Maybe he's just a kid that wanted to get on the fucking roof.
Is it a rifle?
Or maybe he was paid to get up there, and that's why his family's getting $1 million.
After the subject jumps down from the roof there, he sneaks off across this grassy knoll to the sidewalk here, and in the video
his family's getting $1 million. I wonder why.
You can see him waiting at the street where he crosses right here into this wooded area, which is where allegedly the rifle was ditched and dropped. So,
and wasn't the reward for turning in the killer like 100,000? It was only like 100 grand, right? So why are they giving him $1 million? Right?
So this is where he apparently changes his clothes, Allegedly, the original version of the story was that he reassembled the rifle in there with the screwdriver that was found on the roof, but they're not really talking about that part of the story too much anymore. So, yeah, changes his clothes, stashes the rifle in a towel that conveniently has DNA matching Tyler Robinson on it, apparently. Screwdriver conveniently has DNA matching Tyler Robinson, apparently, right?
Yeah, right.
They made a point of telling us that the screwdriver and the towel both had the suspect's DNA on them. They didn't mention the autopsy at all. They didn't mention the bullet that they apparently didn't recover and avoided talking about for over a week until just now. There's breaking news on that we will get to shortly, right? They didn't mention gunshot residue on Tyler Robinson's person.
He said it to give it
These
to
are all some of the
Kirk's
most
wife.
important aspects of any type of murder investigation. Like, we have not heard a single peep about the autopsy or who performed it or anything about it, right? And that would clearly, conclusively show where the bullet entered, where it exited, if it exited, whether Charlie was wearing body armor, right? What kind of caliber of round hit him? Where was the shot fired from? You know, like all the most important questions. The autopsy, which they've already completed, would put all those conspiracy theories to bed. But they haven't mentioned it. Not even a peep from the mainstream media or FBI about it. Until last night.
Madelson.
And we'll get to that in just a second. The new details about the autopsy are completely insane. But they matched Tyler Robinson's DNA to the screwdriver and to the towel that were totally not.
The autopsy is very funny. The coroner is very, very suspicious as well.
Planted on the scene. And to be clear, I'm just making jokes. I'm not saying I believe they were planted. Certainly worth considering, but I am just making jokes. So, the official story is that Tyler Robinson changes clothes, stashes the rifle wrapped in a dark towel in this wooded area, and then walks back to his car and presumably just waits around town all night long with some amount of proximity to his rifle. And we know that because they gave us this alleged text message exchange, which has gone absolutely viral all over the internet because of how entirely unbelievable it all is. Gen Z is having a veritable shindig amongst their peers, engaging in discourse about how unbelievably accurate the tone of the dialogue between these two young human males is.
I am getting a call on my modular cellular device. Oh. Yes, I see the vehicle is parked.
So seriously, like, the left and the right were at each other's throats, and it kind of felt like we were on the brink of civil war. And then Cash put out these text messages, and everyone stopped what they were doing and remembered that none of us are buying this shit. Cash topped off his great week by declaring that Epstein didn't traffic any girls to anyone. 2 cases covered, closed
he didn't.
In 1 week.
He just gave
really
them for free.
Miraculous, you might say. So this whole timeline, though, is complicated significantly by Candace publishing this photo of Tyler at a Dairy Queen about 15 minutes away from the location of the shooting. All the way over here. The shooting was down here. And this photo was allegedly taken at 6:38 p.m. If you've seen reporting that this photo was 17 minutes after the shooting, that is incorrect, and that is people misconstruing the reporting. 17 minutes away from campus, but the photo was allegedly taken at 6:38 p.m., probably by a Dairy Queen employee on their internal security camera systems. And the internet is currently vetting this photo to try to figure out if it's legitimate, and it's looking like it is. So, real quick, does he look like he's aware that he's the most wanted man in America? Right? Like, let's take a moment here to talk about the profile of Tyler Robinson. What are we supposed to believe about this guy? Because he is just
the son that was going trans that the dad really didn't approve of, right? And the dad had connections to law enforcement and who knows who else, the U.S. Marshals and some other shit. So who knows, bro? What the hell is going? It's very suspicious, bro. It's not. It's everything's contradicting itself. What they're putting out makes them look foolish. This is weird.
Chilling, having a little freezy, some nuggies, while there's a national manhunt on for him.
Welcome to the channel.
He hasn't even recovered his rifle yet. He's waiting to go back and get the murder weapon. What's his old man gonna think? Right? So, this dude apparently had a 4.0 GPA and scored 34 out of 36 on the ACT. He had a full ride scholarship to university, but then decided to drop out after just one semester. He's been described as a chronically online kid, but we haven't seen any social media profiles at all. None. Discord went back and forth with the government and media when they tried to say that he partially planned and told his friends about the attack in a Discord server, and Discord, the company, actually came out and said that wasn't true. That he used Discord, but they searched all of his messages and there was no mention of the attack at all, apparently. And that squares with the reporting of Ken Klippenstein, who actually got access to some of the people in the Discord.
That means that what they put out was really fake, because Discord is coming out and saying, no, that wasn't on there. They never said anything about the attack or the assassination or anything. They never said anything about that. And Discord said they worked with the feds and gave them everything that they had, which was nothing. So what is this transcript?
Friend group, and was given a bunch of screenshots from their Discord, which he published, and it looks like normal stuff. Now, it's easy enough to just have another Discord server where all the weird shit happens, but this kid seems mellow. More actually surfaced about him too. Here's video of him from a police body cam.
Who's driver?
He got in a car accident.
Who's driver? Yep. Can you tell me just really quick what happened?
I was coming this way and was just passing through, and he pulled out from here, or no, from there, I think.
Do you remember which lane you were in?
I was in one of those two lanes going this way. I think in the right, yeah, in the rightmost lane coming this way.
Okay.
And he would have been there going left. And as I was coming through, he turned in, and I T-boned into the side.
Okay. Do you remember looking at the light?
Yeah, it just turned yellow as I was getting into the intersection.
Gotcha. Okay, are either one of you injured in any way, shape, or form? No, nothing hurts? Okay, do you have your registration and proof of insurance on your vehicle?
Right, so like, right? Like, cold-blooded killer? Maybe. Like, maybe. But, like, we're supposed to believe that that kid from a good household, 4.0 GPA, full ride scholarship, went off the rails and shot Charlie to protect his trans lover boy boyfriend.
Nah.
Could be. Or
nah.
Get out your tinfoil hat, because this is a hell of a rabbit hole to consider.
Nah.
Fair warning.
Okay, does anyone else think it's odd that Tyler Robinson, the Charlie Kirk shooting suspect, heads to Utah State University, a school with uniquely heavy CIA ties, for just one semester in 2021 as a pre-engineering major, then mysteriously drops out and heads back home? He was a bright kid, top 1%, ACT score of...
Was his dad involved in something like that? Intelligence or anything?
34, 4.0 GPA in high school, and got a $32,000 presidential scholarship. The university's Center for Anticipatory Intelligence, the nation's first program of its kind, led by ex-CIA analyst Jeannie Johnson and co-founded by former CIA Assistant Director Matt Barrett, actively recruits STEM kids like Tyler for its interdisciplinary intelligence training. There are no known direct connections yet, but with the USU's strong CIA and Israeli ties via over $2.4 million in research grants, you have to wonder what sparked the sudden exit. What do you guys think? Comment below.
Okay.
So this is the perfect example.
So he was just a police officer, a retired police officer or something.
Of the kind of content that seems spicy, but you should probably double check it. And so we're going to double check it because I'm kind of curious to see what we can turn up. Utah State University, CIA. Center for Anticipatory Intelligence. This is the thing that she was showing us. From USU to the CIA and back. Master of Anticipatory Intelligence. Interesting. Leadership team, Center for Anticipatory Intelligence.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Yo, it really does. It really does connect to the CIA. That university has a lot of ties to the CIA. It looks like this is where they recruit. Yeah, it looks like this is where they recruit a lot of students.
Reading students' papers on world cultures and politics may seem a long way from writing daily briefs for the President and U.S. Defense Secretary. Jeannie Johnson, a former intelligence and political officer for the State Department and the CIA. Interesting. USU has a lot of assets, Johnson said. Students here get a lot of attention that they wouldn't get elsewhere. That is how I actually got involved with the CIA. Johnson was working as a USU instructor when she caught the eye of Larry Booth, a USU professor and CIA officer. Interesting. So this is hosted on the Utah State University
So you got major CIA officers, assistant directors, all that shit working at the school, bro. That is where they recruit. Well, one of the places they recruit.
Site. And
yeah, the facts
it's
are
essentially
all over the
CIA
place.
propaganda about how great it is to get recruited from USU to go to the CIA. You can get a master's degree of anticipatory intelligence to anticipate and successfully navigate complex emergent security challenges across a wide range of fields and industries. The word security is doing an awful lot of heavy lifting there. That means intelligence agency, Defense Department, military. Security is what that means. USU's Center for Anticipatory Intelligence has led the pioneering effort in the US to establish the academic field of anticipatory intelligence, a multi-domain approach to anticipating threats and opportunities emerging from the world's increasingly complex security environment. What it's saying is this program at USU, where Tyler went to school for his first semester, is specifically known for leading the way in revolutionizing the educational field of preparing CIA operatives. There's another article about Jeannie Johnson. She's more than just a professor. She's a CIA operative. So here she is, founding director. Okay, so it was founded by CIA officer Jeannie Johnson, Matt Barrett, after retiring from the Central Intelligence Agency as an assistant director.
That changes everything.
Okay.
That changes everything. The whole university was founded by a CIA Wow.
Jeffrey Taylor, he's an aerospace engineer. His research has been focused on the multidisciplinary design and optimization of novel aircraft concepts, including morphing aircraft. Steve Smith, Army enlisted counterintelligence special agent, an Air Force intelligence officer, and a China Foreign Area officer. David Winberg. Dave completed a 30-year career at the NSA. They're all spies. So, kind of checks out, eh? Seems like Utah State University is pretty friendly with the intelligence agencies. Seems like they're a critical node in the current pipeline of young people to spies.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, now that we've looked into that question, seems like it checks out pretty good. And I guess I'll keep my eye on it more.
Do you see how much possibilities that opens up to it being intelligence involved?
Going forwards. Let's get back to what we were doing. Hey, I told you to get out your tinfoil. I gave you fair warning, right? It bears mentioning that the CIA loves Mormons. They don't drink, they don't party, they're just good kids, very patriotic. You know? What's not to love about Mormons? So, there's that, which is interesting. It's especially interesting when you remember that he was turned in by his own parents.
Yo, when I heard when I heard Candace say that person that took the film and was the eyewitness, that said that person looked more like a foreign agent, like a foreign, like in foreign tactical gear. You know what I mean? That's from his mouth. Like he said he looked like he was in tactical gear with a mask, and he looked foreign, young and foreign.
And I mean, you can't try to tell me that you didn't think that was a little bit odd, right? That his parents apparently turned him in, and he came in willingly, but then pleaded not guilty. Some version of he was being recruited into CIA or intelligence programs or something like that kind of helps square that part of the story. It does square why a 4.0 student on a full ride scholarship might drop out after just one semester. It sounds a bit like a spy novel, but it's actually not far-fetched to imagine CIA recruiting at universities. Ivy League and other specific schools have long been the CIA's primary recruiting grounds. And that is not a controversial take. That is not like some opinion. That is well-known history. Like through the 60s and 70s, the Ivy Leagues were direct feeders into the CIA. And that has not largely changed. But anyways, we'll keep our eye on it, and we'll see if this angle of the story develops at all. Because now, let's get to the new and juicy details that just came out last night about this magical bullet.
Let me grab something to drink.
So Andrew Colvin, co-host of the Charlie Kirk Show, very much in the know here. He dropped this miraculous tweet that has just made the official story go from dumb to dumber. I want to address some of the discussion about the lack of an exit wound with Charlie. I'm usually not interested in delving into most of this kind of online chatter, and I apologize if this is somewhat graphic, but in this case, the fact that there wasn't an exit wound is probably another miracle, and I want people to know. I just spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital.
No, it's probably not
he
the
said
right
the
bullet.
bullet absolutely should have gone through. He said that the bullet absolutely should have gone through, which is very, very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, etc. But it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. I mentioned to this doctor that there were dozens of staff, students, and special guests standing directly behind Charlie on the other side of the tent, and he replied, it was an absolute miracle that someone else didn't get killed. His bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like,
I can't believe that his own people are saying this ridiculous shit right here.
The man of steel. It should have just gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him too. In the end, the coroner did find the bullet just beneath the skin. Just beneath the skin?
Yeah, sure.
Even in death, Charlie managed to save the lives of those around him.
How would a 30-06 bullet be just beneath the skin?
Remarkable, miraculous, maybe even magic. Right. So, now I would like to show you a video of what a 30-06 round does to concrete, to cinder blocks, to be specific.
All right, first shot, Ruger American 30-06. Winchester Super X 180 grain round. Let's take a shot at these cinder blocks.
Check it out. No, but his neck is stronger than that though, right? He's a man of steel. Remember?
Right there.
Oh my god.
And it split the first.
So, just to clarify, it just split through 3 walls of concrete. Okay? These rounds are well known for going through animals, definitely through necks, right? That's not to mention all the blood splatter that would be on the back wall if a round like this had hit Charlie Kirk in the neck. Just to be blunt about it.
No, they're saying that they found the bullet just under the skin.
Man of Steel?
Yeah, the core. Well, What this Andrew guy from Turning Point says is that they talked to the coroner, and the coroner said that they found the bullet right underneath the skin. Watch, we'll go back to the actual message. Watch, it's right here somewhere. Right here. Yeah. So let's see. I spoke with the surgeon, not the coroner, my bad. I just spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital. He said that the bullet absolutely should have gone through, which is very normal that the high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, etc. But it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. I mentioned this to his doctor. Yeah, I don't know what the feds haven't released anything about the autopsy or anything like this. This is just Turning Point saying that they talked to the surgeon and he said that they found a bullet right underneath the skin, but that's not like confirmed by the autopsy or anything like that. They haven't released anything like that.
Miraculous, maybe even magic. Right. Charlie Kirk in the neck. People that have seen bullet wounds and know how these things work. And this is not complicated. It's not a secret. You can look it up for yourself. Entry wounds are usually smaller. They usually do not bleed immediately because the bullet is going through, creating a pressure system. And the exit wound is usually bigger and bleeds immediately and usually has splatter and everything to go with it. Right? We know that Charlie goes into a stiff posture, which would indicate that his spinal cord was severed. In addition to that, we have the sound in all of the recorded videos from people's cell phones that we could analyze. And we have frames in those videos, hopefully showing what happened. And the internet nerds,
I think it looks more like
have
a
been
223.
doing deep analysis of these videos. This is what's called a crack bang analysis. And we'll explain that in just a second. But basically, when you analyze the audio of a gunshot, there's two signatures that have a distinct difference in speed that you can measure the distance away from the shot that you are. You can't pinpoint exactly where the shot's coming from, but you can tell about how far away the shot is from you when it was fired. And so if you have 3 points where you have video of a shot, then you can triangulate wherever all 3 of those range circles intersect. That's probably where your shooter is located. And 7 crack bang analyses seem to be lining up with over here on Charlie's right, which we will look at
right where those kids were. Look.
Now,
wait. Go back. That's right. That's right there where those kids were. See, right here. Right here's where that footage where those kids were. Where they're like, "Hey, there's a guy on the roof," and no. Like that is right there where they seen the dude laying down. He was laying down right here in tactical gear. All right, this ain't the building that they said that Tyler's on. The building that they said Tyler's on was way over here on this whole different direction, right? So Charlie would have been right here. So they said that the bullet came from this direction, like that way, right? Which would have been where the building was. It looks more like it was shot from this direction, right? And that's why it shot him in the back of the head and from the roof right there. And that's where the sound is pointing where the shot was.
On Charlie's right, which we will look at in just a second.
It's sad that we have to investigate this and the freaking people.
This person has yet to make a video explaining their specific crack bang analyses and how they made these calculations. And I'm not going to pretend to be some expert at crack bang. Not my field of expertise at all. This is speculative at this point. This is not proven fact. But it is highly indicative that it's not lining up to the rooftop at all. Right? And I'm looking forward to other experts double checking this person's work I'm sure that everyone that's looking at this stuff has already seen this guy's work. So just really briefly, how crack bang works. When a round is fired that goes more than the speed of sound, there is a crack initial signature that travels faster than the bang that follows, which is the actual. And I don't understand all the physics of it, but you can look it up. You can get educated for yourself. And there's two signatures, and the distance between those two sound signatures can give you an estimate of how far away from the gunshot your camera was. Okay? He's got some of his calculations here that I'm not going to try to pretend to be an expert at. So, this is a photo of the crowd during the event over in the direction that that crack bang analysis would seem to indicate. It would be indicating something like this balcony or something like this rooftop.
Right here.
And listen, let's not put too much stock in this little bloop up there, but there is a bloop. That being said, there's all kinds of stuff going on over here. It's all very preliminary right now. And then, if you've been paying attention, you've probably seen all these videos of what appear to be bullets captured in frames of cell phone video flying past Charlie. And in order to really get a sense of what the path that this alleged bullet would be taking, you have to kind of dig through a lot of these videos. But basically, this frame is showing it going
directly
down past his knee below him. And there's another frame that people have found with a bullet that appears to be coming in at him from behind. So what the theory that this is developing would establish is a bullet coming down and in from back right side of Charlie, entering somewhere in the back of his neck and head, going down into his neck and probably hitting his spine and severing it, and then exiting out the front, which is the exit wound that we all saw. Then it would be passing down. Maybe it bullets change angles when they're inside of a body. And so that would theoretically explain how we see an exit wound on the front, and then in this video you see the bullet kind of captured in one frame going down past his knee. Allegedly. So you make your own judgment call about this. They're going frame by frame, and you can see it right over here by his knee, passing in front of his black knee. It's there for like one frame plus some artifacting on the frames before and after. Okay? You can clearly see it passing in this direction, downwards angle. That lines up pretty directly with the videos showing it incoming behind him a little bit above and back. So we appear to have a bullet captured in two different frames. The ballistic lines up. Passing through his neck in the right direction and angle. Coming from the direction that the crack bang analysis is indicating. That seems to line up with everything that we're seeing from the actual video. If it smells like shit,
if it tastes like shit, and it looks like shit, it's probably
the skeptical mind would probably think, really? Like, you're saying that we're capturing bullets in cell phone videos? That can't be real, right? That's not how it actually works. That's not possible.
And Galaxies, I think so.
You'd have to go and test it to prove it. But we can ask AI to give us a little bit of context, and I thought it was helpful. So I figured I would just ask. Can you describe the chances of catching a bullet midair on camera with a standard iPhone camera shooting at 60 frames per second? Please give me an analysis of the chances of this happening with a round fired from pistols and fired from high-powered hunting rifles shooting at 30-06, right? Because we were told it was a 30-06 round fired from a rifle.
Yeah, right.
But if the shot's actually coming from the side, it's very possible we're talking about a suppressed round, about a subsonic round, about a pistol round, maybe some sort of mechanically mounted gun.
Or
it's really hard
to
say. We don't know.
Maybe.
So figure we get a couple of different analyses.
Short math.
And this is pretty basic math. This is not complicated. At 60 frames per second, an iPhone camera captures each frame in approximately 16.67 milliseconds, right? So velocity, distance traveled per frame, about 20 feet if it's a handgun round. So in the 16.67 millisecond exposure window, a bullet travels roughly 20 feet, right? For the 30-06 round, it travels roughly 47 feet per frame, right? So it gave this probability analysis of like, what were the chances of like a random bullet being captured in a random video? I was like, whoa, hold up. That's not the question that we're asking, right? I reframed the question to say, listen, if you were filming with an iPhone camera at like a 100-foot wide view, because this camera could see, you know, like probably more than 100 feet of the actual event, and we know that a bullet fires through its field of view, right? We're not asking like what are the chances that a bullet would randomly pass through a random camera's field of view. We're asking if a bullet was fired through an iPhone camera's field of view shooting at 60 frames per second, what are the chances that one of those frames would have the bullet in it? So a handgun round time to cross a 100-foot field of view would be 83.3 milliseconds. So there would be 5 frames through which the bullet would pass.
Oh, shit.
The bullet would appear in multiple consecutive frames. For a 30-06 round, it would probably appear in about 2.1 frames. Under these conditions, the probability changes from astronomical odds to actual near certainty. A handgun would have 99% probability of appearing in at least 1 frame, likely 3 to 5 frames consecutively. And that's obviously assuming that it's against a dark background with enough light bouncing off of it that you can see the bullet against its background. And in this case, both frames that we have the bullet appearing in, it's against Charlie's black pants in the latter frame, and in the frame before it impacts, it's against a man with a black shirt.
Yep.
We would expect it in 3 to 5 consecutive frames.
Those are bullets.
And we see it in like 1 frame behind him, 1 frame on impact.
Those are bullets.
Maybe a frame inside of his neck and a frame coming down.
That kind of clarified that they really...
Right? Like, that kind of lines up.
It's not possible.
So, as a general rule of thumb, anytime that someone gets shot in public in America and it's a big conspiracy and it seems like we're being lied to, it's probably worth following along with John Cullen. He broke a whole bunch of stuff wide open about the Las Vegas shooting back in 2017, and he certainly is getting involved in this one.
Check him out.
John can be a bit of a pain.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check out John Cullen.
But he does some damn fine work. And he has been tracking a couple of developments on this story that basically no one else is talking about. And whether that's for some suspicious reason or because it's a little too nuanced and esoteric and people just haven't quite caught up to where John is at yet, I don't know. But let's take a quick look at some of these flying things that John is finding. Not just John, but John is
yeah, they've been finding all kinds of drones.
So I'm pretty sure that John has found a CIA spy plane. It sounds like him and Jason from Crowdsource the Truth have been zeroing in on this spy plane that just so happened to take a flight over there that is sort of in the pipeline for air-launched drones, because they've been finding a whole bunch of what look like drones in the footage, like I think more than 10 instances at this point. And Jason is a professional at like optical analysis, like technically analyzing video and sound. John is extremely proficient at analyzing everything to do with a shooting case like this. And they're pulling out little pieces of stills out of the footage with little flying objects that are not, it's not really clear what they are. See, this is from a Crowdsource the Truth
Looks
video.
like a drone to me.
I don't really know what to make of it yet. I haven't spent the time to kind of follow along super closely with their investigation, but it's worth knowing about and it's worth looking into. It's
definitely
a
looks
little
like
beyond
a
the
drone.
scope of what I'm talking about here today, but I'm keeping my eye on what they're doing because they might be onto something.
And I got in touch with Jason. I said, we have got to do a show together. You come on, please, hypothetically speaking, show everybody what you found. Jason walks us through 5 different UAVs. Now, this is one of them. You can, if you look towards the top edge of the screen, you see it in the actual, what would you call it? The actual, what?
Actual size. This is what I did for each of these, John, is I went through in a program called After Effects, which is like, you know, this is what you'd use to track motion picture footage if you were doing visual effects in, you know, any movie. So, you know, I was able to track these things down to a sub-pixel level, and then I isolated them, magnified them sometimes as much as 2,400%, so we could just really see it, whatever level of detail was there. So that's what we did with these.
It looks kind of similar to something. I mean, it's kind of reminds me of something maybe I saw maybe a year. All right, so it's
like
time for the big reveal. All right, so what's been going on? That is the difference between 2,900 feet per second at the muzzle, and 2,600 feet per second at the muzzle. All right.
See, this is where it gets good. They get granular. John is real technical. They're both very smart. And a lot of their content moves slow because they are digging into all the details. So it might not be for everyone, but if you want to know what's going on out here, great guys to follow.
All right, so for all you guys out there that shoot, I'm trying to give us a reasonable rate.
And notice how it overlaps, right? He's getting a similar measurements on what we're talking about.
All right, so for all you guys out there that shoot,
I'd be curious what kind of conclusions they're coming to right about now. One last development that came out in the last couple of days here that adds to this piece of the story.
All right, let's check it out.
Is this video where people have been combing through all the video footage and someone noticed what looks like a figure on top of another building. Not the same building as before. This is the Woodbury building, and there's a figure there. See, Woodbury building, right? And at first, you see a little bit of the head there. And then it kind of goes away, right? Just the littlest bit right there. Probably a person, but it's kind of hard to tell. But we know it's the Woodbury building because it pans over, right? It's not like they were trying to film this guy. They just were filming randomly, and someone noticed that there was a little head in the frame, apparently, right? So when we go to Google Earth, this is the building right here that we are told the shot was taken from. The video we just watched was filmed from right here on this walkway, looking up and around here, right? So it was panning here and here, like this and this. This is the Woodbury building sign that was in the end of the video, and the person's head would have been seen somewhere in this area.
Oh,
right?
So that's actually the building where they said they saw that dude laying down.
It is worth noting that this roof, you know, it has lines of sight, but it does not really have access to over here, which is where allegedly the shot was taken from. Some people are dealing with campus maps that look straight down, and it kind of looks like this roof connects to this roof. It doesn't really connect, right? Unless they had a ladder up here or something, or there's like some secret door that we don't see, or he was like frickin' Alex Honnold and went free soloing. But it's interesting because now we're getting
the way he jumped off that roof.
Possible sightings of people on more than one roof. That's the kind of thing you might expect if you had a organized hit with multiple players involved. So we have what kind of scenario do we have developing here? We have a patsy, looks like a willing patsy, whether he's been recruited into some form of intelligence agency or operation or something else, who knows? It would appear that we have a patsy on the roof over here, like we're told. But it's not really clear that there was ever a rifle on that roof.
Nope.
It kind of looks like the rifle was never even on campus grounds at all, but instead, homie just went for a little walk for the cameras. Hence why they didn't show us the footage of the shot being taken.
Yep.
Because it doesn't look like the shot was taken from there. It seems like we have an actual shooter up and to Charlie's right, somewhere in this area. Whether that's on this balcony that was uninhabited, or possibly up on this roof, or maybe concealed somewhere in here, although there was people all along this walkway and people all up.
Because the video of those kids were right here, right? And they're with their cell phones right here, and they're pointing up, and they seen a guy run from right here to right here and lay down. And he just lays down there the whole time, and then right when they turn their phones off, 20 seconds later, boom, shot rings out. And you can see the flash from over here off the reflection. You could kind of like see a flash. Or no, is it off the, I think it's off this reflection, right? Off this reflection inside one of another video that you can see the flash. And I think that kind of lines up perfect. If you've seen the flash, if you're down here and you're looking up, you're going to see the reflection of a flash of a barrel coming off of this building. It really looks like maybe that was this right here is the real place where the real shooter was.
these stairs and down and around. So, who knows? But crack bang analysis, the apparent bullet on film, both line up with over here, as well as the wound pattern that we saw on video and Charlie falling over away from this direction. Not to mention the lack of blood splatter behind him. We also know that there were agitators in the crowd, ready to cause distractions and confusion to delay police in securing the scene and locating the shooter and team as they escaped. And if you agree with the analysis that leads to this being the most probable set of facts at this time, then we arrive at one massive question. What the hell's going on with the FBI and the investigation? Are they really so dumb that they're fooled into feeding the lie back to us? Are they being fooled by the cover-up too? Or are they in on it? Are certain people in the FBI helping push this lie to the public? Because as just one example, the FBI has video of the shot of the shooter on location, allegedly with the rifle, taking the shot. Right? So this begs the question.
They should have it, but they didn't show it.
What about the Trumps? What about Erica Kirk and everyone else at Turning Point? What's going on behind the scenes now, politically speaking? I think that we'll be getting answers about that this week, because Alex Clark announced on Twitter that Erica will be coming on her podcast to speak openly about everything from the conspiracy theories to Charlie's evolving position on Israel and everything else.
Wow, she's gonna go live?
But so then when I went to Alex Clark's Twitter account to find the announcement to show it to you here, I was not able to find it. So I'm a little confused. And I'm not really sure if that's still gonna be happening. Honestly, I'm not really surprised if it was canceled though, because I find it really hard to imagine Erica Kirk deciding to do that right now, regardless of what's actually true and regardless of how much she knows. This is way too hot of a political position to be in, her being the new CEO of Turning Point USA. Right. There's way too much pressure on TPUSA right now. Way too many donors, I'm sure, vying for control. That is me speculating. But like, come on. We've all seen how these billionaires act in public. How do you think they act in private, right? And she has way too important of a job to do right now to consolidate power and rally Charlie's true supporters around her and do whatever she's trying to do, right? So we will see what happens.
I gave you
and we'll follow that if it
XR,
develops.
Marty.
I kind of doubt that interview is going to happen, but if Eric Kirk does speak out, it will give us a lot of information. It'll be extremely complex to analyze because of the many layers of complexity and unknowns that get overlaid over what's going on behind the scenes at Turning Point. And so we're going to have to analyze it pretty critically to figure out if there's like things being held back or if there's politicking going on or whatever, you know.
There you go.
I don't know how Erica feels, obviously. I have no idea. But I know that if my wife or brother was murdered, I wouldn't settle for anything less than every stone turned over. I wouldn't be comforted by an easy lie. Watching a cover-up would definitely make me right? And beyond that, like, Erica knows this industry. She lives in this industry. Charlie eats, sleeps, and breathes this industry. Like, they are no strangers to trolls online. You're not offending them by asking questions about his death. And if you are, I'm sorry if I'm offending Erica Kirk by asking questions about the official narrative and trying to find the real answers and the real killers, I apologize. But this is what we're doing. Because we're being fed a lie, right? At this point, it's basically impossible that the official story we're being fed and Tyler Robinson is being charged with is even remotely true.
It's physically impossible that what they're saying happened is the actual truth on what happened. Physically impossible. Absolutely not. Yes, sir.
Now, that does not mean that Israel did it, but oh boy, is the internet talking about Israel.
What did he say?
So,
hold on.
Let's talk about Israel. It's like, just kidding. This video is already like an hour long, and the Israel true.
Hold on.
Now, that's a lie, right?
Hold on, I want to hear what he said.
Watching a cover-up would definitely make me want... No, right? And beyond that, like, Erica knows this industry. She lives in this industry. Charlie eats, sleeps, and breathes this industry. Like,
yeah,
they are no strangers to trolls online. You're not offending them by asking questions about his death.
Yeah, we get it. We get
and
it.
if you are, I'm sorry if I'm offending Erica Kirk by asking questions about the official narrative and trying to find the real answers and the real killers. I apologize, but this is what we're doing because we're being fed a lie, right? At this point, it's basically impossible that the official story we're being fed and Tyler Robinson is being charged with is even remotely true.
Yeah.
Now,
no way.
That does not mean that Israel did it, but oh boy, is the internet talking about Israel. So, let's talk about Israel.
Yeah.
It's like, just kidding. This video is already like an hour long, and the Israel conversation is a whole can of worms. And I just want to get this one out because this information is changing and updating so fast that it feels appropriate to split the shooting information up from the greater cultural kind of Israeli-American relationship conversation. But there's plenty to say about that too. And this obviously informs that, and that informs this.
That was a hell of a good episode, bro. Shout out to Iron Carol Lee. What is it? Right? Iron Carol? Iron Carol. Yeah, man. That was a great video, bro. That was an awesome video. Let's go back to, what's her name? To Candace. Oh, where the fuck is the sound? Hold on.
You have foreign agents in America that are working on your behalf. Nobody was trying to start a Catholic versus Protestant war.
The second
throughout all of that, they were very close. He's also the PR agent for Turning Point USA, and he's also the one that issued the statement, therefore, about what is now being termed the other magic bullet, and magic bullet being the first one, JFK. It kind of seems like when the government might be involved, you know, bullets tend to have magical properties. Anyways, I've said yesterday, his job is pretty tough, and it's made even tougher by the fact that
so she's saying
if he's told to say something, he has to say it. That's just how it works in PR. And I'm sure there are lawyers involved as well. He went on to the Alex Clark podcast. Now, it was kind of billed. I think people were expecting, but actually Alex Clark never did say that Erica Kirk was going to be the one to answer questions pertaining to Charlie and to clear up some rumors about his personal life. She teased that, that you were going to get unfiltered answers to burning questions like, quote, was Charlie converting to Catholicism? Again, I have no idea who said he was converting to Catholicism. I feel like it's like intentionally misrepresenting what was said. Also, she was going to answer, did he take $150 million from Israel? Again, not something that we said on this show. And again, like I told you, they're going to address the SD cards. Now, I was very clear. And I am still kind of shocked by the reaction from the evangelical community. It was totally it didn't make any sense to me. A, because Erica's a cradle Catholic. I said Charlie was attending the mass because he was. I said Charlie was praying the rosary because he was. And I said that as a Catholic, of course, I was egging him to take the next step. Who wouldn't? Of course you want, whatever your faith is, if you're evangelical and someone's thinking about converting, you're going to want to egg them on. That totally makes sense. And it wasn't said in an evil capacity. I said the joke that I said to Charlie, take the next step. You're too smart to be a Protestant. That's a descriptor of our relationship. We were like brother and sister.
Oh, shit.
It's said in humor and in jest. Hey guys, I was Protestant like 5 minutes ago. So I felt like people were looking for reasons to be offended and wanted somebody to come out and slap that down and say, no, he wasn't attending the mass, and, kind of caging this like it was a war for Charlie. It's like, no, he never took the first step in converting, but I think going to the mass and praying the rosary, obviously it's going to get Catholics excited. Anyways, let's start with that. Andrew's response to the Catholic question. Take a listen.
Was he becoming Catholic?
No, but he really loved Catholic mass. He loved the ritual of it. He loved the beauty of old Catholic churches and the stained glass.
And him and Erica would go sometimes.
Yeah, well, Erica's a cradle Catholic, but she ended up kind of like me. I grew up Catholic and First Communion and went to Catholic high school, but then I ended up becoming a Christian in college through a Protestant church, through a non-denominational kind of more
Catholics are
experience.
Christian.
It was actually Presbyterian, and then it was kind of non-denominational. And I think Erica kind of follows that same path. She and I share that.
Also, by the way, I just want to draw attention to, she's posted a photo of her and Charlie and the kids in mass before, and somebody in the comment section said, "Oh, are you guys converting?" And she said, "No, we just like attending sometimes." So she herself had said no.
Yeah,
probably.
and I think Charlie, one of the things, Charlie really hated worshiping in like a gym, or some sort of kind of blank space that you just turn into church. There's no problem. He didn't have a problem with the act of that. He just didn't prefer it. And he loved, again, the ritual, the ancient, feel of a Catholic mass, and the fact that everybody around the world that was worshiping as Catholic, he loved that. So he had some really big theological hangups with that. You can go check the videos out, him debating with Michael Knowles, in good fun. I mean, they were dear friends, but they loved kind of debating the whole Protestant versus Catholic thing.
So I didn't lie about anything. And yeah, he was attending mass. And so usually if you are ritualistically attending mass, meaning he liked the ritual of it, I'm not sure what that means. I don't understand what we're doing. It just feels weird. And to say he converted to Christian, Catholics are Christian. So, he said, I think Andrew said I converted to Christianity. I went from being a cradle Catholic, and there was no question that Erica and Charlie were attending the mass, and that's what I said. And I said that he was praying the rosary, and there's no dispute there. I never said he started converting to Catholicism. I said that the Catholics were kind of thinking, take the next step, Charlie, take the next step. And I don't think it was just architectural for him, far be it from me, to speak on behalf of whether he was just attending because he liked the architecture. I think it was a little deeper than that. And I agree that he did have some hangups, but that's kind of when you make that thing of he didn't really like having church in a gym. That's a step, right? So for me, that was a step where I was going, okay, I want something that feels a little bit deeper. It's a journey. Nobody was trying to start a Catholic versus Protestant war. I just shared something about, my final conversations with him. And a lot of the conversations were about faith towards the end.
On what she was talking about, that people are eating her
Anyways,
up
then they get to the second portion of something that I didn't say. Nobody said the number 150 million, or I didn't say the number, Tucker didn't. I don't know where the 150 million number came from. If I'm being honest, I said 150 million was what BB spent on Operation Mocking Pastor. Now, the way they're going to answer this question about whether or not Charlie was offered money, Israeli money, is interesting. Take a listen.
Was Charlie offered $150 million from Israel?
As far as I know, no.
I had never heard anything like that. Everyone I've asked has said the same thing.
And by the way, just for what it's worth, it doesn't matter the amount that would have been coming down. We would have said no.
And there's evidence that is true.
Turning Point Charlie would not accept foreign money.
Exactly.
We only took American money.
Yeah.
There was money sent to us, practically in multiple instances where they're trying to cram it down our bank account. And we said no. We canceled money wires and things.
No foreign money, and also no handouts from the government. During the pandemic, 100%. He refused to do mass layoffs that everybody else in the country was doing. Said no to the whatever that check was. What was that they were handing out? Stimulus check.
Yeah. The PPE loans, right? I always get PPP and PPE mixed up, but
yeah. But it was a good amount of money that at the time we could have used.
Yeah.
He put out a company statement saying, this was tempting for sure, but we're going to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, he was very principled in that way.
He was extremely principled, especially on foreign money. I remember moments we'd be at an event, and some foreign people would come up and demand a meeting or try and get a meeting with Charlie, and Charlie would look at me and go, deal with them, get rid of them. I don't want to talk to them.
Okay. So there is this thing called VARA, and every country, if they're going to influence people, if you're Qatar, if you're Iran, and you want to lobby on behalf of those countries, you have to be registered under VARA. So we know where that money is going into. If you have literally stands for foreign agents registering, right? If you have foreign agents in America that are working on your behalf, we would be able to see that. But there's this magic carve out for Israel, right? So when you say, like, was he going to take Israeli money? It's kind of a working around it, right? Do I think that in the Turning Point accounts, it would have said Bibi Netanyahu wants this money to go to, probably not. Do I know for a fact that there are foreign agents working on behalf of Israel that give money to Turning Point? Yes, they do. The question is whether it's Bill Ackman, whether it's Bob Shillman, whether it's a ton of the donors who write big checks and are pressuring him to say stuff, was a large sum of money offered to Charlie Kirk to take Turning Point to the next level. Not that it wasn't a very high level, to the next level, with the guarantee that he would represent their current perspectives and the things that were going on. And did Charlie Kirk refuse that? I maintain what I said, that happened, and Charlie turned the money down. I hope that makes sense. I do want to add on to that I do have concerns, and maybe concerns is not the right word. I have rather hopes that Erica, who is taking on this huge step of being the chairman and the CEO, that she has someone in her corner that she really trusts. And what I mean is that I am not equipped to be the CEO of my little tiny company, okay? And I've realized that how much it involves to understand accounting, to understand how people can create LLCs, a spin-off of LLCs, how money can be hidden and pushed into different directions and into vehicles that you don't understand, takes a person that is sort of trained to have that business mind. I am grateful that my husband has that business mind. I just don't actually even care to have that business mind more than anything else. Not that I couldn't learn it, but I know with a company at that size, Erica is going to really need to have someone who is very much in her corner. It breaks my heart, but she doesn't have Charlie. Charlie would be exactly the kind of person. Like it's the beauty of a partnership, and they had a beautiful partnership. But I worry. I really do worry, and I just wanted to express that openly to you guys. I'm concerned about that for some reason, and I guess the best thing to do is just ask everybody to pray for Erica. Pray that she has the clarity to understand and have people around her who are being honest with her. Because I would not want to be in her position right now. I would not want to be in her position because where there is money, money naturally breeds
why I
snakes.
like Candace Owens? She really speaks from the heart. She straight speaks from the heart and with courage, and she doesn't care what people think. She just speaks on facts, and this is what it was, and you know what I mean? And she's straight to the point. That's why I like Candace Owens.
In the garden, and it's very difficult to keep the grass cut low when the yard is that expansive, so to speak. Anyways, they then address the SD cards, and here is what Andrew had to say about the Turning Point affiliate, employee, somebody adjacent to Turning Point, who removed the SD cards from
the camera dude.
The camera that was behind Charlie in the immediate aftermath of the shooting. Take a listen.
Why did our team start taking down cameras immediately? Was it just in shock and just thinking like, this is what we do, and just not thinking it's a crime scene?
I think massive shock. I think there's been some stories about the SD cards or whatever. That was because even in the shock, there was an understanding that the proximity of those cameras were going to be evidence, and they wanted to make sure that it didn't get stolen out of the cameras. But B, they didn't want anybody to run in. I mean, there was those videos of the kid running and grabbing the hats.
Hats, yeah.
So there was an understanding. I mean, I talked to the team on that, and they said, because we know people can be evil.
Yeah.
And they grabbed the SD cards so that nobody could get that footage.
So that law enforcement could get it.
Did I answer your Maha question sufficiently? Yeah, okay. He loved Maha. Well, he loved Maha moms
he
too.
ran up and got the footage so that nobody stole it. And turned
I
it
think
over to
I
the
would
feds.
have probably pushed back and asked, okay, but now that, the feds have kind of been fumbling the ball just a little bit, a lot of it, maybe just release everything.
A little bit, a lot of it.
The sleuths get on it and solve this thing. And that's kind of what I want. I want them to be more passionate about getting to the bottom of things a little bit. Am I maybe being selfish by thinking that if I was close to him as Andrew Colvett every day on the show, I would be like more fired up about all the things that are going wrong. And again, I appreciate that they also have to then turn this next page, and they still have donors. They still have the same donors that were making financial threats against Charlie and blackmailing him, in his own words, by the way. He said that he felt morally blackmailed by them if he had disagreements, and they were trying to control who he could speak to and who he could be friends with. And actually, by the way, we have a clip of Alex and Andrew speaking about that moral blackmail. Take a listen.
There's this great clip when we were in Myrtle Beach, and he got asked if, from somebody in the audience, if he was going to, debate Candace or, disavow Tucker. And Charlie's answer I thought was amazing. I remember he came off stage. He's like, "Do you like that one?" And I was like,
he would always ask that for reassurance.
Yeah. He always loved like, "Did you see that? Did you listen?
Yeah. Do I look good? Was that a good clip? Do you think that'll go viral?"
Yeah. And I remember saying like, "Yeah, I thought it was amazing. It was morally so crystal clear." And he basically said, "I don't appreciate being morally blackmailed." And and every time people would say that to him, he would dig his heels in. It's like, well, maybe Tucker's going to give 2 speeches now at MFest.
And that is the truth. We told you he said the same thing about when he was in the Hamptons, that he was feeling like he was morally blackmailed. He was telling people that he was digging his heels in further and saying, "I'm going to bring Candace back." You guys kind of bullied this ending. And by the way, that clip he's speaking about, I actually just saw it. It's from August, so the month before he lost his life. And here is Charlie in his own words about how he was feeling.
How is your relationship with Candace Owens nowadays?
She's a great friend. Look, I don't agree with everything Candace says, but you know what I don't do? I don't stop being friends with people just because people morally blackmail me. I don't do that, and you shouldn't either. Look, I have different views on things as Candace. I have different views on Israel than Candace. I have different views on a lot of geopolitics. But honestly, I traveled the country with Candace. I went to her wedding. I saw her meet her husband. I went to Israel with Candace, which is a fun story I'll tell you at some point. But what I don't like is when people demand, "You must stop being friends with somebody." Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a left-wing tactic. Don't do that. I'm not saying you do that, but other people do that. We should never resort to that. In fact, if you believe what I believe, shouldn't you want me to be friends with people that don't agree with us? Shouldn't you want me to also be a tool of influence? And so I think the world of Candace. She's a great mother. She certainly has very, very fun opinions at times. And she's a great talent. She says a lot of stuff that sometimes I don't agree with, but that's what makes our relationship and our friendship interesting. My advice to all of you, you might not like somebody, but never tell somebody like me to stop being friends with somebody on an interpersonal level just because of disagreement. It's bad. It's what the left does, and we should rise above it as conservatives. Thank you so much.
Charlie was a very loyal friend, and I'm going to continue to be a loyal friend to Charlie. I can't stand it. I cannot stand to see the lies that are being told. The people that are intentionally taking things that I say out of context, people that were trying to pretend that Charlie and I weren't friends. It is maddening, but I know that God never gives any person more than they can handle, and I can handle it. And I am handling it, and I want to get to the bottom of what was going on because I know he was under a tremendous amount of pressure. And like I said, I am hopeful that Erica will speak out more thoroughly. I know she's got so much to worry about right now. I mean, chairman, CEO, and still has to be a mother. Pray for her. Just pray for her, because it is a huge burden to have, and she'll get through it. She'll get through it because she has faith in the Lord. I also want to get to this story because I want to tell you guys we are winning in a very big way, a lot. I think the awakening that's happening right now, left and right coming together. And I do want to shout out my lefties here because I felt like I was one of the only people on the right who was anti-vax before it was cool. Like none of my kids were vaccinated and people thought it was wacky. But before I got there, the left stream moms were actually the ones that were like very on it with like, what's in these products? And that was like a weird place that I didn't kind of fit in conservative land, being like vocally anti-vax, and took a huge risk in doing our Shot in the Dark series that's available on our website. I think it's the most important series for any parent to watch, whether you decide to do vaccines or not do vaccines. Please be educated. Get educated about each vaccine. You will be shocked when you learn the history of them, how they came together. Maybe not so shocked post-COVID, but you will, I think, be very shocked at how much they lie and delude. And we have all of this fear-based reaction to, in large part, accepting what is poison. And so Trump coming out and making a statement and calling this stuff poison and putting out a list of things that don't need to happen, I'm like, wow, Is he watching A Shot in the Dark? Has Trump signed up to CandaceOwens.com? Is he watching? Is he wearing a CIA hat and watching? I think so. And here's a statement that Trump made.
We want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and all the three should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem.
I'm going to go to ads after
so
this.
There's no downside in taking them separately. In fact, they think it's better, so let it be separate. The chicken pox is already separate because when that got mixed in, I guess they made it for a while, it really was bad. So they make chicken pox. Individually, they're okay. When you mix them, something maybe happens. So there's no downside in doing it. It's not like, oh, if you do it, bad things. No, it's only good side. And it may not have that much of an impact, but it may have a big impact. So let those be taken separately. And then hepatitis B is sexually transmitted.
Yeah. So why
There's
you
no
gonna give
reason
that
to
babies?
give a baby that's almost just born hepatitis B. So I would say wait till the baby is 12 years old and formed and take hepatitis B. And I think if you do those things, it's going to be a whole different, it's going to be a revolution in a positive sense in the country.
I want to say this. The reason the government is coming out and saying this, if you have not been following the news, parents are pulling their kids out of school. I really, if you want to talk about a true turning point, and I said this a few episodes ago, I hope that what happens is that the world wakes up to the fact that the evil is taking place in the classroom. The reason why they are coming out and admitting some of these things is because they're fearful that they're going to lose. And I'm talking about the evildoers in this world, the psychopaths that have been poisoning us for generations, the people that have made America fat, the people that are putting Monsanto. They hate you. They hate me. For them, this is a religion, okay? And they wish to poison our offspring, their bodies and their minds. I want to be very clear. Both the bodies and the minds of your children are what they want. That is the one resource that they wish to own. It is our offspring. They poison our minds. That's why they want you to either abort your offspring. If you have your offspring, they want them to be fat, addicted to drugs, filled with pharmaceuticals and vaccines. That's the reality. And we have to say that, we have to declare that boldly because now they want our speech because people are waking up. But what you're seeing Trump say is a reaction to the amount of moms that are pulling their kids out of the public school system. And I want to be clear, not just public, private, okay? We began the process 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago of taking our kids out and realizing that we have to be radical because the psychopaths that rule the world are radical. And if you want to take ownership and actually invest in a better future, we have to be in control of exactly what sort of an education our children are receiving, okay? And everything that is wrong in America and that is wrong in this world is because we gave the government domain over our children. So if you want to be a radical, get your kids out of these schools. You can figure it out. That's what I want to say to you guys. You can figure it out. They make you think you can't. We are in their matrix. Let's get out of the psychopathic matrix. So I'm excited because that is really it's a sign of the times. It means parents are fighting and we're winning. And the government is on notice. And now they're like, hey, what if we lax up? Not 1 inch. Not our kids.
Right. No, I got
so
3
many men
boys,
think
bro,
they need to
and
completely cut out alcohol to
that
get lean for the
vaccine
summer,
shit scares
but they're
me,
dead
bro.
wrong. This is
I
what
ain't
we're.
gonna lie.
All right, guys, before we
That
get into
shit
some of your
scares
comments, I
me.
want to tell you about Sauna Space because when you are a mother with kids and you have a nonstop over 1 trillion. The question I have is why now from an LGBTQ person? Charlie has remained consistent there. It just makes no sense. His public views on the genocide and Netanyahu, however, are the things that changed before his assassination. Yeah, I never accepted the Fed slop. That's what I call it, just Fed slop. The whole message is, like I said, MAGA, my dad's extra MAGA. That's supposed to make people that are on the left go, oh my gosh, see, it's because of MAGA dad. It's so ridiculous. And then on the right, you're supposed to go trans. It's a trans person. We've talked about this and da-da-da-da. And like, I just knew spiritually as soon as I found out that Charlie got hit that this was bigger than that. I just knew, and I maintain that. And I think now everyone who maybe we're going to accept the Fed slop now appreciates that everything they're telling us makes entirely no sense. And they're lying. Like, they are lying about a lot. And there's only one reason to lie. It's because you have something to hide. So I say, just be transparent. I don't trust people that don't just release and speak about everything if they're being deemed suspicious. Like, transparency and honesty, it makes everything easier. That's why, like I said, I have no qualms about anything that I've said on the show, because I don't lie. There's no benefit. What do you get? What's the upside of lying about something? And so, yeah, I think they are finding out, and we have remained very committed to getting to the bottom of this. Jenna V writes, thank you for fighting so hard for that precious human being, Charlie Kirk. He was amazing. I mean, I could say it 1,000 times. There truly would not be me without Charlie. And I know that I held his head up during tough times. You know, when you are climbing and fighting through politics, that early phase, and you're unknown, you go through a lot of really tough times and you're tired. And similarly, he held my head up during a lot of tough times. And like I said, reading the messages of me, whether we were sick, tired, we just always made it work. And he built that company. Charlie built that company. And I don't know why, but it just sickens me to hear any lies or misrepresentations. It just makes me so angry. But I know that that's something that I have to deal with. My choice emotion, I guess that's my vice, is I always have to pull myself back consciously from wanting vengeance. And I don't want vengeance right now. I just want Christ. Christ is king because Christ is truth. And I want the truth about what happened. And we're not getting it at that moment. Miriam writes, British Muslim here. Love the work you're doing, and I so stand by the point that this is good versus evil, slaves versus the elites. Yes, you are amazing, and I keep you and your family in my prayers. Thank you for praying for us. Truly, the prayers work. They are working, and I needed them a lot last week. I feel better this week, which is one thing. I feel more focused in many ways, and it, like I said, it arrived to me when something I really needed to hear when Erica said that it was quick. That was eating me up inside, like not knowing that answer. Previously, Temp writes, they didn't kill Charlie, only his physical form. Of course, Charlie lives on with the Lord our God in heaven forever and evermore. Yeah, we know that, but it doesn't. You just miss the person. You know, that's what I haven't accepted yet, is that Charlie Kirk is actually gone from this earth. Like, that just makes me really sad. It just makes me really sad, and sometimes the sadness, like I said, just turns into anger. And I know that will kind of. It will change with time. I know that. You're never a year on, however you feel, a year on, it will be better. And so I hold on to that. Carl writes, my wife and I love your show. Gang, gang. Thanks for always asking questions. You've opened a lot of people's eyes up to the obvious that lying that is going on around us. That is the point of this. I did an interview earlier with a journalist, and she kind of said, what do you think, podcasting getting big, what does it signify? It signifies that we don't believe the establishment anymore. And the establishment seems to be growing more radical, and they want to control speech as if that's going to make us believe them more. It's a nonsense, a terrible idea. Mary Kelly writes, I love you, Candace. You are my Joan of Arc. Prayers for you and your family. Flame of love, rosaries. Thank you so much for that. Chris writes,
I wonder if there's anything new. Ground Zero 911. Let's see, is that the last thing she posted? Let's see, live videos 8 hours ago. Yeah, that's the last one. Video. Candace and Milo. Oh, that's 2 weeks ago. Okay, yeah. Let's go home. 1 day ago, we already seen that one.
Cortando a terra enquanto tiro minha saia. Quando passo, todas elas ficam em alerta. N, mim, muitas mais. Você pode ser a primeira.
I'm going to lay out what happens, what's going on here with Candace, Bibi Netanyahu, and Bill Ackman, because it kind of leads up to something that happened between Charlie and me on this show about a month ago, August 6th. Okay, and the audience experienced this with me, so I'm just going to set up what's happening so everybody understands. Bibi Netanyahu went on Fox News on September 11th, the day after Charlie was shot, and commented on the loss of the man he said was his friend. And here's that in SOT 1 in part.
Was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization. A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel.
Wow.
Okay, so Candace, who's been critical of Israel in this conflict, did not appreciate that we had a foreign leader reading part of Charlie's letter, trying to characterize his stance on Israel without giving it its full measure, because it had changed a bit in recent months. And she is not wrong about that. She responded on her show, and Candace was very good friends with Charlie. I mean, she called herself a Mason of Turning Point, and she is. She is. She helped build that group when she was coming up and Charlie was coming up, and they're both very young. They were out there at many events together before anybody knew the name Turning Point, or Charlie Kirk for that matter. And I was actually very moved by the video montage she showed of pictures of her and Charlie together and singing together and dancing, having a great time. You know, they're young in this business and figuring things out. So I believe Candace is sincere in her upset around Charlie's everything. I mean, obviously around Charlie's death, but around people trying to talk for him and say, sort of summarize his position on something as controversial as Israel. So here's what she said. Again, in part, you should go watch her show to hear the full measure. But here is what she said in response to Netanyahu on her show just the other day, SOT 2.
No, there definitely is a little bit more to the story. First and foremost, that letter he is holding up, he is severely misrepresenting. Those sentences are real, but I am calling upon Bibi Netanyahu, the dear friend to Charlie Kirk, to publish the letter's entire contents. Like, don't start with just 2 sentences. Publish the entire thing. You're holding it. I'm saying you're severely misrepresenting the contents, that in May, Charlie was concerned about Israel and their influence on American politics and how they were pushing things that he felt were in conflict with his beliefs, free speech here in America. Bibi's holding it up like Charlie just in May said, hey, you know what? I just want to write a love letter to Israel. That's how it was presented. Would you guys agree? That's not how it happened.
So she's basically suggesting he's leaving out an important piece of Charlie's evolution on Israel. She went on to talk about, and this is the first I had heard this news, a meeting that Charlie had at the home of Bill Ackman in the Hamptons on October 5th. August 5th, with a bunch of influencers, as it was described by Bill Ackman later, some of whom he said were pro-Israel and some of whom he said maybe not so much. And there was a meeting at Bill Ackman's Hamptons home. Charlie was there. So were some other so-called influencers. And Candace suggests that at that meeting, Bill Ackman pressured Charlie, he was very supportive of Israel. Do not get me wrong. I mean, I know. I spoke with Charlie directly about this, but he was starting to have the same doubts, questions about whether this could continue without Israel losing all of its support in the world, as I was. And he and I had a long talk about our frustration at being dubbed anti-Zionist or anti-Israel or anti-Semites even, just for those very mild criticisms. I mean, my God, it was fucked up, okay? It really was. And he was frustrated by that, and so was I. Now, Candace had a different characterization of that meeting than the one you're going to hear from Bill Ackman. And hers dovetails with this reporter, Max Blumenthal, who also reported on the meeting. Here is what she said, again, in part, in SOT 4, where she said they had this meeting, and she suggested that meeting with Bibi occurred while Charlie was at that meeting at Bill Ackman's house in the Hamptons.
A couple of weeks ago, before Charlie lost his life.
More about the whole beef between
Charlie
Israel and America,
was
how this ties
in the Hamptons, and he had more than one event, but he had essentially what was staged, an intervention was staged by Bill Ackman, because Charlie's rational thoughts about Israel were a no-no. This is not the route that you should be going on. And Charlie was surrounded by his friends, his quote unquote friends. Bill Ackman was very upset, and threats were made. It was at this time that Bibi Netanyahu was called, and Charlie was invited to Israel. This was an under duress situation, I would say. And I know that Charlie was offered a ton of money in this moment. A ton of money. Bibi would fund it, you know, spend tons of money. And Turning Point, I guess, if it needed to go to a higher level, would have gone to an even higher level than it already was at. And I know for a fact that Charlie denied that funding, that Charlie denied, and what Bibi didn't include there, he declined to go to Israel.
Okay, here's more. This Max Blumenthal reporting, he writes for his own outlet called Gray Zone. He used to work for the Daily Beast. The Nation Media Matters, which explains why in his reporting he referred to me as an anti-Zionist. Wrong, Max. I'm totally a Zionist. I completely believe in Israel's right to exist, and I've defended their right to defend themselves after the disgusting, horrendous terrorist attack on them in 2023. So get it straight. But in any event, he too reported that the Ackman outing was an intervention he used, during which sources say he and others hammered Charlie, that Charlie came away fretting about Israeli blackmail. He says he's spoken to 5 people with intimate knowledge of Kirk's meeting, and that he alleged that Ackman personally confronted Kirk about his views on Israel. An unknown British woman joined in the argument and began screaming at Charlie. When his host presented him with a detailed list of every offense he supposedly committed against Israel, Charlie was horrified, said one person. Ackman also allegedly demanded that Kirk rescind his invitation for Tucker Carlson to speak at his upcoming America Fest 2025 in December. Ackman, he came under fire too because he had tweeted out recently, "I feel incredibly privileged to have spent a day and shared a meal with Charlie Kirk in the summer. He was a giant of a man." And once again, Candace and others suggesting that that's not the whole story, because if he really was threatening Charlie, that's a weird tweet, you know, an incomplete tweet. Now, Bill Ackman responds, as only Bill Ackman can. We'd be here for another 3 hours if I read you his whole response. As you guys know, the Ackman tweets are just legendary for their 49 paragraphs minimum. But this one deserved a bit of a response because he's being accused of something pretty vile. And he described these accounts as totally false. I think I can easily put this to bed. He promised, I have receipts, as they say. He did not abide when asked to provide the so-called receipts, reports Max Blumenthal. But Ackman did go on X and said, I've been slandered by Candace Owens. She'll be responding, I'm sure, shortly, of staging an intervention with Charlie in which threats were made. He says it's not true. At no time have I ever threatened Charlie, Turning Point, or anyone associated with him. I've never blackmailed anyone, let alone Charlie. I've never offered Charlie or Turning Point any money in an attempt to influence them. I connected with Charlie when he had DM'd me in late May of this year and expressed interest in meeting me. On the Zoom, he explained to me that conservatives, in particular young ones, were getting tired of defending Israel, and this was very concerning to him. He suggested, Bill Ackman says, Charlie, that recruiting a group of junior Charlie Kirks who could host open mic sessions on college campuses would be an effective way to encourage debate on a host of issues, an approach he believed to be worthy of consideration and better enable students to get to the truth. I was interested in learning more. We scheduled a series of conference calls between Turning Point staff members and members of my team, and then we assembled this diverse group of influencers for a day-and-a-half session. We chose the afternoon of August 4th to the afternoon of August 5th for the convening. Charlie and members of my team worked to put together. I offered to host the sessions so that I could attend some. Charlie sent out the invitations. About 35 or so influencers accepted. Charlie and Turning Point put together the agenda. Some were critical of Israel. Some were supportive. At the end, I sat with Charlie and members of my team. We discussed the events of the evening. Charlie believed he had identified a number of potential Turning Point ambassadors who could launch open mic events on campus. and would then follow up with them. We agreed to keep in touch thereafter. We corresponded by text over the next few weeks. This was not an intervention to blackmail Charlie into adopting certain views on Israel. It was nothing of the sort. Candace did respond in part on X last night, saying, I know feigning victimhood is kind of an Israeli brand thing, but I was clear that Charlie felt blackmailed by the offer to fund TPUSA, which he refused, meaning from Netanyahu, I think she means here. No one said Bill Ackman blackmailed Charlie. Try to resist the urge to rewrite history. And she goes on saying people in attendance did characterize it as an intervention. Here is where I'm going with it. Oh, and by the way, I should mention, this is important. Andrew Colvett, who is Charlie's right-hand man at Turning Point, we know him well, wrote the following. I've been asked about this weekend event with Bill Ackman more than a few times now, so I asked our staff who were traveling with Charlie to find out what's true. His team was with him 100% of the time when he was not in his hotel room. Here's what they told me. Bill never yelled at Charlie, never pressed him on Bibi, never gave him a list of Charlie's offenses against Israel. There was concern raised about having Tucker at the Student Action Summit. We don't believe this came from Bill. And Charlie's reply was, honestly, people telling me not to have Tucker makes me want to have Tucker. And I am going to lock him in for AmFest too. Charlie personally told me, says Andrew, he had a very cordial relationship with Bill and the event was productive. Those are the facts. Well, here is the reason I am weighing in. I wasn't there and I don't know what happened. But the day Charlie was done with that summit at Ackman's house, he came on my show. It was his last appearance on the Megyn Kelly show on August 6th. And I asked him about his evolving views on Israel and about the criticism we both had come under for, honestly, like the most milquetoast criticisms of Israel. It was just crazy. I don't think Charlie actually even really did criticize Israel. I think he just hosted his Turning Point event in July in which he had tons of pro-Israel people, tons. But also Dave Smith was there, who's a critic, and Tucker was there, who's become a bit of a critic. And he got so much shit for this. And Charlie was really frustrated by this and annoyed because no young person, no person under 30 in America supports Israel. They just don't. Look at the polls. It doesn't matter whether you're conservative or not, like virtually none of them. And that was Charlie's constituency. And Charlie was hearing from those people that they were not into this and they really weren't into our support for the war in Iran and bombing Iran and all that. And he was trying to find a way of bringing that to President Trump and bringing that to his donors and to everybody else to say, hey, you know, you might be losing some support here. I said the same, and both of us got treated like we are Mehdi Hassan, and we were annoyed. We were both annoyed by that. So we had the conversation. I did not tell Charlie we were going to discuss it. Usually when guests are coming on the show, we'll give them a heads up, like in case they want to study up on something, whatever. Like these are probably generally the 8 to 10 topics we're going to hit. And we did not give him heads up on this because I didn't even tell my team on it. I just decided to do it. And here is a chunk of how that went. And something's happening, though, with this whole debate that is really bothering me. And I wonder if you're feeling it, too. My contention here is that some in the pro-Israel camp are so knee-jerk about calling you anti-Semitic or getting deeply offended if you say anything that doesn't align with their narrative, that it undermines their own cause. And I have to tell you, I find it very irritating.
I'm so glad you brought this up, and I would second that. Megyn, I think I have a bulletproof resume showing my defense of Israel, both on campus, on social media, to great, you know, let's just say mockery and scorn at times because I believe it, right? I believe in the scriptural land rights given to Israel. I believe in fulfillment of prophecy. And again, I'm not a theologian, but I'm a Christian. My life was changed in Israel. The spiritual energy is so amazing there. I want them to win. I've said that repeatedly.
Same.
And however, Megyn, you're hitting on something very potent and important. Now, let me first say, I don't want to judge an entire group because there's been many people in the pro-Israel world that have been very sweet, very kind, very nuanced, very Charlie, you know, you're with us. You don't have to agree all the time. However, and I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megyn, calling me an anti-Semite. I am
That's
learning biblical
ridiculous.
Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it.
It's very irritating.
It's
been
almost
so
as if
unfair.
you,
They were coming after you after a turning point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to
questioning
criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was
you're not allowed to,
overrepresented.
though. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, I mean, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megan. Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right? Like, okay, what would it be like if all of a sudden I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online? How would I behave? So that's like my charitable kind of overcompensation spirit. At the same time, I'm like, but it's not defensible to be dumb, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's offensive. It's offensive to those of us who have been out there defending them in many instances against critics on our own side. And now you have a couple of comments like, well, what about this? Well, has it gone on too long? Like, is it time to wrap it up? And the thing about Epstein is just so bizarre. I don't know who he was an agent for. It might have been Israel or an asset, or it might have been nobody. But we're allowed to speculate about that. It's like there's some rule you can't go there when it comes to Israel.
Well, you and I believe that we're Americans and Americans first, period. End of story. We are citizens of this nation. Personality types like you, myself, and Tucker, the more that you guys privately and publicly call our character into question, which is not isolated, right? Megan, it would be one thing if it was one text or two texts. It is dozens of texts.
Yes.
Then we start to say, hold the boat here.
I thought that was very, very well said by Charlie, as usual. And I want to verify that he was feeling frustrated, and he was feeling pressured, and he was feeling like his character was being assassinated by people publicly and privately who are, I guess, consider themselves more pro-Israel than Charlie. And he refused to back off of his criticisms and said the truth, which is, in his case and in mine, the more you tell us we can't talk about something the way we want to talk about it, the more we're likely to do it. When inflation jumps, when you hear the national debt is over $37 trillion, do you ever think maybe now would be?
Damn. Yeah, so this is crazy, insane, you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. I will be back tomorrow around 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time tomorrow with another update on see if we get any more information on Charlie Kirk and this crazy tragedy. All right, so I'll catch you guys on the next one. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.